recording volume today. Sounds good, Audacity.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, let's do it. I guess that means I should turn my gain up a little bit more. Slightly. There we go.
Right.
20?
Sure.
All right. Back on goes the filter.
That looks like perfectly 5 seconds on my end.
-2. My first one's a little bit small, but it's clearly legible.
I don't think there was any other news other than the thing Sam posted, but I don't know if we want to report on Apple v Epic in perpetuity.
Whatever. Like, I mean, we already said like it's going to go to appeal, so I don't like they filed an appeal. That's it.
It's more appeals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was the same story, but it was not.
No.
Okay, I'm just gonna see if there's anything overnight, just in case, but probably not. It's for the week. How about for the day? Epic Game Store is getting achievements. I don't know if we care.
Nope, don't care.
Nope.
Oh, I didn't put the Grand Theft Auto
They
trilogy.
probably still don't have the ability to put multiple items in your cart. Probably
Still don't have the ability to join parties in Chivalry 2 as well. So
Oh my god.
That sounds
that's
useless.
been broken since launch. Do you remember how I was really excited about that game and then I've barely fucking played it? It's because you can't really make parties work at all.
Yeah.
It works like 20% of the time.
PC Building Simulator is free on the Epic Game Store right now.
It's an interesting game.
I'm so done with the Epic Game Store. I don't even go there to get their free games anymore. I'd rather pay the $5 to $10 that they tend to be on Steam than
same.
Even it's
same. Do we care about the GTA trilogy in news, or is that just like a thing?
I don't know if it's a big deal.
It's not
because
GTA 5.
It's also going to phones.
It's been those games have been on phones before too. I mean, I'm sure this is, we don't have
San Andreas at least has been on phones. Yeah,
I think 3 also.
3 and Vice City are as well. I've played them on phone.
I didn't see Vice City, but yeah.
I think it used to be anyway. It might be delisted now, but I don't know. Those are just re-releases. They're not like remakes. So
yeah. So who cares?
It's not really big news.
I'm just curious if Vice City. Like I believe you. It's just no, it is totally here. For $6.99.
Nice.
They don't play very well on phones. Big surprise.
I really don't doubt it.
But if this new re-release has controller support, I can see buying it on phones.
Oh, these don't have controller support?
I assume they don't. They might. They are old. I played San Andreas on my phone, or at least GTA 3 on my phone, like 10 years ago at least.
Wow. Yeah, does it say when this came out?
I guess 2009.
Released on 2012 for Vice City.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Basically 10 years ago.
Yep.
Wow. Dang. All right. Well, let me know when you're good to go, Andre, and then I'll start streaming us or something. I'll start streaming us now. Why not?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to like, okay, what is my intro today?
Your the question you're positing that always leaves us on our tippy toes.
Where are we in 2 weeks?
What?
His race.
Silverstone in 2 weeks. Yeah, Silverstone.
It's like just as
your partner's favorite European racing circuit.
Oh God. Literally no idea.
The Nürburgring.
It's called. I mean,
that is one.
Pick. It's not on this calendar, but it is a good pick. There is a 24-hour race there. I drove there's a 4-hour race there tonight. I drove that 2 weeks ago.
Spa is one, right? And I know you
That's
like
my favorite.
Spa.
That's my favorite. Yeah. Yep.
How about the one in Monaco? Does that count?
Just the Monaco GP, but yeah, sure. It's a street course, so.
How about Zandvoort?
Zandvoort's on the F1 calendar, yeah. It was not a very good race this year.
I think that's
Track had some crazy banking.
I think that's the limit of my knowledge. I don't know the stretch it much more.
You probably know like Monza.
I know of like Le Mans.
Yeah.
If that's what we're talking about.
Monza's in Italy, Le Mans is in France, but yeah.
Okay. I don't know Monza off by name.
Are you ready, Andre? Does that give you enough time to think of your intro?
No, I was totally enraptured by the
It could just be, I mean, this could be our one cold open. The funniest thing about this calendar is it's called the European Endurance VRS Series. We go to Spa, we go to Le Mans, we go to Silverstone in the UK, Red Bull Ring in Hungary, we go to the Autodromo Nazionale Monza in Italy, and then we go to Sebring International Raceway in Florida.
Sebring. Huh.
Great track, but it's not in Europe.
Oh, Sebring. Chrysler. For some reason, I had it confused with Serta, like the mattress company.
So Serta should absolutely buy a short track somewhere and call it Serta Raceway. Maybe they have. Who knows?
I don't know why that came to mind, but brains are mysterious things.
Your partner's favorite mattress.
Like mattress size?
It's in Red Bull Ring's in Austria. I don't know why I said Hungary. It's early.
It is early.
All right, I got it.
Okay.
Scrolling through the Discord. Okay.
Oh Jesus. Okay, great. That can only lead to great things.
Yeah. Hey, you know what? Hello, and welcome to episode 193 of the Gaming Fix podcast on October.
It's icky this year.
October 9th, 2021. I am your host, Andre Cole, aka the Wet Gamer, aka your partner's favorite cocktail. I'm joined today by Pat.
We've been drinking like these pre-mixed cocktail drinks that are like cheaper than, they're like a little lower alcohol content than you would make a real cocktail. But they're not just malt beverages. They are like actually mixed drinks. And there's a really good rum mint mojito flavor that they do. So
that sounds nice.
Yeah.
Do you do like any like real mint in there? Like, or are you just
no,
like,
I usually just drink it. They're canned and you just crack them and pour them. Yeah. They're only like 5% as opposed to the like 20% or whatever an actual mojito would be.
Just you're there for the taste.
Yeah, exactly.
And also joining us, Alex.
I don't drink, so I like mixing like an orange juice with like a ginger ale.
That's like
that's like an orangina.
It's like a mocktail.
Yeah.
All right, I can appreciate it. I bring you here today to discuss games.
Oh shit!
You can't talk like I watched a lot of Midnight Mass this week. You can't use that kind of cadence.
It is the time. It is the season is upon us. It is. We are in no longer ordinary time.
Oh God!
We are in spectacular times here as the season of game releases is upon us. The gamers, they are risen. And we are here to tell you about all of the hottest new releases and goings on in the world of video games. That's about as much as I can do as a impromptu sermon. I think we're here to spread the good word today of Battlefield 2042, the open beta.
Yeah. We're just going straight into it.
That's a good idea.
We'll just go
because it's like the thing all of us played.
All right. I mean, sure, let's do it. I thought we were going to do
even
cold
play
open
together today. Yeah.
We can talk about
You know?
like orange juice some more, but okay, sure, let's do this.
Yeah, I don't like orange juice, so you know what? Fuck that.
What is wrong with you?
Yeah.
Oh God. Yeah, here we go. Didn't we go through this? Didn't I say
Yeah, I
like
think we
fucking
probably did.
orange?
I
Like
think so.
Yeah,
Like,
and
come
I don't actually like to judge
sounds
people for
familiar.
their taste because it's everybody's palate is unique.
Yeah, sometimes it's unique and wrong, but that's okay.
I mean,
like
whatever.
I'll drink it, but like I eat a lot of things that I don't like if it's put
Like
in front
what?
of me. But I'm not gonna
Look, life's too short.
Okay. I live in
what else do you
Japan,
not like?
and I work in a school, and part of working in a school is eating school lunch. And boy howdy, do they often put things I do not care for in the school lunch. Like this thing in Shiga, the area I'm in, is famous for konyaku. Konyaku is like this. Yeah, it's not the alcohol.
Those kids
it's like
are
this.
just fucking wild all the time.
Oh well, they are, but that's because they're
Monsters.
elementary schoolers and absolutely out of their minds. Konyaku is like lotus root that is somehow gelatinized.
Yeah.
And it's I hate it. The texture, the taste is
Like
just like
snot.
whatever. But I know it's like it's very firm, but like
Yeah,
it's like I don't even know. Like I can't think of. There's probably like a candy analog that I can't think of right now, but like it's not sweet or anything. It's just like yeah. And then Shiga in particular is famous for red konyaku, which is just like even worse in my opinion, which just looks like it's like blood red, these gelatinized cubes. I'm not even sure what it's made from.
red bean.
It's potato based, I guess.
Oh.
Yeah. Between rice cake and gelatin, it's like texture wise. Yeah. But yeah, so like I have to eat that a lot, and like I stomach it, but like it's not gonna be my choice to eat. Or like there's often like I think sardines maybe. Or they're like little fish that are like so long, but they're like whole fish and they're like fried, and so it's like just eat the whole thing. Or some bigger ones, they're like okay, we'll have to like bite the head off this thing, and it's like oh my god, pain in the ass. And I'm like not stoked on eating it, but I do anyway because if you don't eat it, the school will complain and you'll get in trouble.
Wow. All right.
Yeah, because like if the kids see you not eat it, then they'll be like, well, I don't want to eat this, and then they won't eat it either, and then you just have a mutiny on your hands.
Free lunch, right? So
no, I have to pay for it.
That's ridiculous. Then
I mean, it's like $2 a day, but
yeah.
And sometimes it's like all right. Like
if my boss was like, okay, you have to eat food you don't like, and you have to pay for it so that the CEO is happy, I'd be like, you can fuck off.
It's not the CEO. It's for the school.
Yeah, it's for the kids.
I'm just the analog.
Yeah. One person actually did get like in trouble that I know, and they had to stop eating school lunch, and they had to start bringing their own lunch to eat, which is totally an option.
Yeah, okay, well then that's different. As long as that's an option.
Yes. Yeah, it is an option because like some people have allergies to things like shellfish or whatever, which sometimes in the lunch. But yeah, you know what? Speaking of allergies, I think Battlefield 2042 is allergic to showing me the damn weather, which is the whole fucking point of this game. I played 2 matches before we started this podcast. Still nothing. I played, I don't know, probably
you gotta pay
10
for
matches, 10 matches by now, and I have not seen a tornado.
Well, I heard the ratio. It's like a 1 in 10 chance every time you play. So
I didn't get to finish the last match because we had to kind of get going for this, but I probably could have played more, but based on how long it took to get this going.
Some of it definitely is how long the matches end up taking too, because the weather can evolve over the match. So
we all played a round together or a couple rounds together, and in the last 2 minutes it started raining like crazy. So it's it is actually dynamic. It's not scripted.
Yeah, like you'll go a whole match with no weather stuff happening sometimes, and other times stuff will kick in.
The degree of it is like it can go from like sunny to cloudy like spitting rain. I've seen that, and I've seen like heavy rainstorm with no tornado to like huge storm with and lightning to huge storm with tornado and lightning and everything. It's pretty cool, the like range of weather options. It's not just like sunny, raining, tornado. It's like degrees within that too.
There's granularity, which when they showed that stuff off, I was kind of dismissive of it. I was like, oh, I was skeptical for sure. I was like, who fucking cares? But in it does totally change the game when you do it, like, you know, in context.
It definitely changes the tone and the feel of what you're doing too. When it's a huge storm, it feels very apocalyptic while you're playing, for sure.
And though you haven't experienced it, Andre, when that tornado does hit, that also feels apocalyptic.
So if I'm like boots on the ground, just like, you know, grunt running around, what happens if I go inside the tornado? Am I getting like picked up and like flung through the air? Am I?
And you can pull your parachute, and it makes you go even crazier.
Okay. And can you you can get into gunfights then in like the tornado if everyone just runs inside? And that's good. That's good.
It also pulls all the vehicles in. So like if you're
so you can be like a tank.
Yeah, and just like spinning the turrets around, shooting people who are also in the tornado.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
This is what I want to experience, and the game is really keeping it from me.
I only did it in a plane, and I flew into it to see what would happen, and it does kind of screw up your handling and you start taking damage, but planes can fly through it. I don't know about helicopters. I did come out the other side, and I had taken like 20 damage or something, and the plane started repairing itself and stuff, and the handling returned to normal. So
like I think it's actually not a bad thing that you're not seeing it every round.
I agree.
Because I think if you did see it every round, it would just become annoying and like a crappy novelty.
Mm-hmm. Even if you saw it every 3 or 4 rounds, I think it would become less it being as elusive as it is. I have a feeling when you get to it, you're going to be like, oh, okay, this is cool, I guess. Mm-hmm. But it's that like only seeing it once in a while means you don't have that many chances you don't have the ability to get used to it. Totally. Which is kind of cool.
Yeah, and I actively ran into it because I was like, this seems rad, and it was. And it's cool how it shows up. Pat, I guess you're the only one who's seen this, but when you die and you're picking your spawn location, it's just it's taking up a huge part of the map, because the map is a rendering of the actual world. So like you see this thing just slowly creeping across this map. It's great.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. I'm extremely excited for the fact that I forget what their map count is. But we've seen at least 4. I want to say,
because there's Dubai, right?
I think it's a fictional city, but basically yes, it's like Dubai, which I believe can have the sandstorm, and it can have tornadoes and rain and stuff. And then there's the ice level that's like Antarctica or something.
There are 13 maps and
2042. Really? A lot of maps. I have a feeling. Awesome. I don't think that's 13 maps the size of what we got 64. In the beta.
No, I think
I think it's like 4 or 5 environments, and then maps extrapolated from them for smaller modes, in addition to the big mode. But because they've shown the ice map, which I would assume has like blizzards, they've shown the map on the cargo ship, but I think that's probably smaller maps or something.
Here we go. I found the list of the core 2042 maps. There's 7 of those, and then there's
great. Sounds good.
2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 classic maps. So like from Bad Company 2 and like 2 and stuff
Portal,
like that.
For the Portal.
Like Caspian is one from Battlefield 3, and like Battle of the Bulge from 42, Africa Harbor from Bad Company 2. But for 2042, we've got Hourglass, which is in Qatar. We've got Discarded, which is in India. We have Manifest, which is in Singapore. Kaleidoscope, which is South Korea, and I think that's the big cityscape we've been seeing.
Potentially, yeah.
Orbital, which is the French Guinea one, which has been the beta map. Breakaway, which is in Antarctica, which
Hell yeah.
that looks fucking awesome from
it's
the
like
screenshots.
hovercrafts on ice and stuff. The trailer footage was so cool.
It's really cool. And then the last one that I see is Renewal, which is in Egypt.
Very cool. So it's the point being, it sounds like there's going to be a pretty good mix of weather, from you know, rain and tornadoes to sandstorms to like blizzards and stuff.
Yeah, the Antarctica one, it says that you can make permanent fires on the map by destroying like fuel tanks and stuff.
Right.
That's cool.
So you're like reshaping the map in a way, which is cool.
That's fascinating.
I mean, the weather stuff is cool, but
how is it as a Battlefield game? Because my Battlefield experience is like extremely limited.
Well,
and
here's an interesting thing. Looking at the reception online, specifically on Reddit, people are extremely negative on it. But I think it's I think it's great.
I think what the thing is that people are, I think what it is it's a lot of people who played Battlefield 4 and then went on to play the most recent 3 of those games, which are good, I think, but Battlefield 4 emphasized the class structure even more than prior games in the series. To me, the classes were part of Battlefield because they didn't really have a sophisticated way to have you build custom classes in 2001.
Totally. Yeah.
So it was like they were just like, well, we want to give you different kits and you're not going to build those kits yourself. So here's the 4 classes.
Yeah, here's the assault class that like you can throw down an ammo pack, and the sniper class has C4 and like all that stuff.
To me, Battlefield has never been about classes. It's about the scale of the conflict. The classes have just been, you're just picking the guns you want basically, and then your secondary tool. So I'm excited about that's the biggest change from classic Battlefield that 2042 does, is you can mix and match everything and just kind of make your own custom class. I think that's great. I'm excited for that, because I think that it's harder to balance, because you need a reason. Like, one of my friends has been complaining about the lack of ammo because you get a pretty low ammo count. But my argument is like, they needed to do that because they need you to give people a reason to take ammo bags so that they can toss out ammo bags, and that helps to prevent everybody from just taking a recoilless rocket launcher. And so I do think that they're going to need to carefully, and it's maybe not quite there yet, need to carefully balance that stuff so there's a reason to play with each set of equipment. But I don't have a problem with missing the class stuff so much in this game.
The only thing I think, and like I think they do kind of need to balance the classes, or whatever we're calling them, a little bit better, just because like with the current set of maps, and I've aired this grievance with y'all, I think the medic is pretty useless in terms of the beta, just because at the moment you heal so fast, or you get to healing so fast, and the battles are generally spread out enough that like you don't really have a chance to get any healing off as a healer. And also the movement is just so fast between all the like quick sprints and like the dives and stuff like that, that the way you heal is with a gun that you're targeting your teammates with. So it's like playing Ana from Overwatch, but arguably even harder, because it's not giving you any kind of assists.
I think I see a situation where, when the game is providing more, well, one, there's no map. You can't look at the map right now.
Not
for
yet.
some reason.
There's a button
you can look
for
at
it, but
spawn,
you can't
pull
it
up the map.
Probably
I think
thing.
So I think that makes it hard to be aware of where your teammates are. I think the medic could be really useful in a situation where you're defending a point and people are like trying to throw grenades in, and there's vehicles dealing splash damage and stuff. I think as a medic, you could probably be always looking around, shooting people with your medic gun who are easier to hit. And I kind of like the idea that like, no, you got to be good with a gun to also to be a medic and get your medic points or whatever. But I do think like ultimately, there's a specialist. These are the specialists. So they're like basically like a piece of extra gear They have a passive bonus too, I believe.
Yeah,
so
they do.
They seem pretty unnecessary to me. I'm not that, like, the grappling hook is cool. Putting down a turret is cool. Having a drone you can fly around is cool. Those are the ones, and then the medic gun. But I don't find myself using them very much, and definitely like shooting people is still the thing that will win. Like, being good at shooting people is the thing you want for winning games, I think.
Yeah.
Which is fine in my opinion. It doesn't bother me.
So we have a note from the chat, not necessarily a question, from one Chris Edgerton saying, "I hope the game will eventually show you what to do, because as someone who's only played Battlefront, I'm so lost." And I think that's fair, and I would hope that the full game does kind of give you more context, because, like, Pat, I think you and I have both played a lot of Battlefield. Like, I don't know, I started in Battlefield 2 back in, like, what, 2005 or something?
I was in a competitive Battlefield 1942 clan. But
Nice.
Battlefield 1942 is a top 5 of all time game for me. It's
and Battlefield 2 is probably a top 5 game for me.
And
if I were to think
1942 is still my favorite game in the Battlefield series too. I love 2, 3 is great, 4 is great. I liked 1 a lot.
I think Bad Company 2 is still my favorite. And well, I would say this so far, 2042 feels closest to Bad Company 2 for me, which is a really awesome thing, because they haven't had that feel in a really long time. But to Chris's point, I think for people like me and you, we just kind of understand when we see that map and we see all those points, we're like, oh, okay, that's what kind of game mode this is. It's a conquest. So we know that, okay, we're going to split our squads up and take these points strategically, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, they aren't explaining that. I would hope that there's some kind of tutorial for new players. Like, Andre, you're relatively new to Battlefield, right? Like, did you find it intuitive?
I've mostly just played like betas of games or whatever. So I played the beta for like Battlefield 5, I think. And like that was the beta for that one was the same as this. It was Conquest. So I had like played that, and I've played like first person shooters where it's capture the point type stuff. So that wasn't too weird. Really the hardest thing is just like, this is because it's a team focused game or like a squad focused game. Like, should I be with my squad? But then my squad is like, if your squad is randos and they're all over the place, or is there any benefit to being with my squad? Is there any benefit to being with my squad? Like, because it seemed like I was like, can I only res my squad mates or something like that? And
the squad system really only exists because it used to be that you just had to spawn at a command point and run, and people got tired of doing that.
So it's
people are babies.
Spawn
people can't deal with any hardship at all when they play a video. I'm just kidding. But yeah, so squad's mostly mobile spawn points. So you can kind of, and it has the natural effect of kind of keeping people together because you're going to use each other to spawn. But I've never really, in pub games, I've never worried about communicating with my squad or working together, frankly. And I've won plenty of games without doing it, and I've lost plenty of games when I do try to do it. So
totally. And for me, like, sure, there is a certain amount of squad stuff you can do, but I seem to remember in Bad Company 2 and 3 and 4 at least, there was like quick commands you could do, like Counter-Strike style of like rush, push here, fall back kind of commands that you could pull up.
I imagine they'll have to be putting that back in. They just like, I mean, we live in a post-Apex Legends world where they'll have like a ping menu.
Yeah, I think it wasn't. I think it wasn't the ping menu.
That's weird.
I think it was a long hold on Q that brought that up. I can't remember. It's been years.
So I would assume. Yeah, I assume that would be back. Think, like Pat was saying, what you thought this beta was from.
I think it's like trade show stuff from earlier this year.
Probably
not. I mean, I've heard that it's at least 3 months old. So
that's what Dice has said. And that currently they're doing daily, nightly updates to their current build. So
I'm not that worried about it.
Same.
Even though it's pretty bare bones. The thing that I think is encouraging to me about it, and I mean, I've heard people say it's the worst feeling shooter they've ever played. I've heard people say that the shooting in it is like horrendously bad. I think it's great. I think the shooting is better than it's not quite as good as Modern Warfare, but it's better than like other recent Call of Duty games. It's way better than Battlefield 5 in my opinion. the movement is whatever. I think it's a little fast, but I don't have a problem with it. So
yeah,
and the vehicles feel really good to me. So I think a lot of the complaints from what I have seen is it sounds like the tuning on controller is pretty bad for the beta. I've only been playing it with mouse and keyboard and then using controller for air vehicles. And so I think maybe a lot of the complaining is coming from console players who are using a controller with kind of some bad default settings.
Totally
but
possible.
You know, speculation. I haven't played with a controller, so I don't know.
And the beta has not had the best of stability, especially since they've opened it up to everybody. So like that's also a valid criticism, I would say. For
sure. Yeah. I mean, I assume that stuff that'll get ironed out as in the final release, but yeah, it's definitely
totally
quite buggy. I have seen a lot of. Last night I saw a person just jump. I assume they used their grappling hook, but it didn't play the animation for me. So they just jumped and then they just kept ascending into the air like in a static jump. Like they hit the peak of the jump animation and just stayed there and flew up into the air like a superhero.
It's almost like Mario did a jump and then just kept going up.
Yes, it was very funny.
Like, and I've seen some weird stuff with like aerial vehicles like rapidly ascending like 100 feet and then descending 100 feet or whatever, just and like not helicopters, they're just like a plane will shift or and
you hope some of that stuff will get ironed out.
I linked in our chat an incredible clip of an AI just absolutely wrecking a dude in the most incredible way.
They talked about before release that like, yes, there's going to be bots to fill it out to make it 128 players, which is for one, it's fine. I don't have I'm not one of the people who has a huge problem with that. I'd like to play in a full 128 people server if I can, but I'd rather on a huge map like what's in the beta right now, I'd rather play with 20 bots per side than with only 40 people per side,
and then fill it up, like just fill it up, like get it going, and then 20 bots per side, and then filter those out as people join. Like that's fine.
I will say they were all about like, well, you won't be able to even tell the bots are bots because they're going to play so well, and they're fucking terrible. They like run into the middle of, they'll like run out of cover and then stop and then like look around and then look right at you and then like slowly aim and then start shooting and missing you. It's like, dude, what are you doing?
Well, it's okay. It's just a console player. Pew, pew, pew.
I'd rather the bots be too easy than be too hard, because if the bots were like super soldiers, that would feel a lot worse. But
if it was literal aim bots,
but the bots are really stupid. It's impressive that they can fly the vehicles, but they also just like sit and hover in places.
Hey,
and you just blow them up like weather balloons.
Flying the vehicles makes them better than me, because I cannot for the life of me fly. Like
you get used to it, and I think that's another fault of the beta is that they don't have like a firing range kind of equivalent where you can just try stuff out. I think if you could just experiment with a helicopter without affecting a multiplayer match and also waiting for a respawn, then you would probably get it in like 10 minutes of experimenting, maybe less.
They're pretty easy to fly once you get the hang of it.
It's just every time I've played a Battlefield game, it's been like I've not had like a way to train and like try the stuff out. So I'm just like, this is miserable. This is absolutely terrible. I feel bad because I want to try the thing, but also I could just leave this for someone good who can like do cool shit and
stuff. I'm happy to grab the plane and fly around for 30 seconds and crash and die.
It'll come back.
But my big thing, like Battlefield 4, I played Battlefield 1942 with a joystick for flying, and that worked pretty well. And sometimes mouse and keyboard if I didn't feel like setting up joystick, and that worked pretty well. And Battlefield 2, pretty much the same, and it was pretty good. But then I didn't play a lot of the Bad Company games. I've never been that into console Battlefield.
I played those on PC for what it's worth.
Yeah, I know they were on PC. I don't particularly like Bad Company the way a lot of people do. I think I get why people like it. It just never clicked for me in the same way. But Battlefield 3 and 4, because they were such PC games, they didn't have the best controller support for flying vehicles. Like, it was there and it worked, but it never felt great. So I'm pretty excited because I got into flying the planes more in Battlefield 1 because they work really well there. And so for this one, I think that they feel really good. So I'm going to finally recapture my old, when I used to fly planes a bunch in Battlefield 1 and 2, or 1942 and 2.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
But it's hard to, the thing that I find hard is how to like survive. Not so much flying the plane and hitting things, it's avoiding getting killed.
Like the AI missiles and stuff.
Yeah, like that's always been a hard part though. Like even so far back as Battlefield 3.
But like we were in a honestly, what I really want to fly is the transports. I like flying. I like being the person who like flies around and delivers people to capture points. And that hasn't really been a thing for a long time. So I'm really glad that it's back with this game, because in Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5, it didn't really make sense with how those games work to have transport planes. They may have had them in 5, but I don't think they did. And so it's exciting to me that there's these VTOLs now that are like basically transport planes.
God, and those things were a nightmare from the passenger seat, though.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It was like riding a roller coaster. It
was
was
person
absolutely
was flying
ridiculous.
Was like a fucking ace and just like was dodging missiles. They were like hitting the brakes and then like just like flying backwards like to barely dodge missiles that would like shoot past the gun cams. So I want to get to be that level of, it reminds me of flying a Galaxy in the original Planet Side, and that's like there's nothing better. There's nothing better.
A long time. Anyways, Battlefield 2042 seems like it could be really good.
Yeah, I think one thing that I think is the case, this has been the case with a lot of the Battlefield, not a lot, but with some of the old school Battlefield fans that I know, they when the trailer came out, they said it's going to be garbage because EA and DICE will never make another good video game, and that's just their stance. There is nothing you could do that would make them change their mind, because it's like become an ideological belief that DICE is a shitty developer. And I think that's true for a lot of fans of the series, and I don't get it. I think it's like, get over it.
But Battlefield 1 wasn't like that much. 5 eventually got there, right?
I mean, people haven't liked it. Hardcore Battlefield fans haven't liked the Battlefield game since 4. Generally, they hate Battlefield 1 and 5. And I didn't like 5. I thought it was pretty disappointing. But a lot of it has to do with the way progression works. A lot of it has to do with the way the game feels. A lot of it has to do with map design. There's like a kind of cascading series of things that kind of hit that series. I think 1 is good.
Yeah, they were really, I remember them really struggling with 5, like the identity of that game when it came out, like constantly like doing major tweaks to like time to kill and stuff like that. I mean,
there are people who will tell you that Battlefield 3 ruined the franchise when they introduced the rush mode, for example. Like people have opinions.
Are crazy.
People have opinions about Battlefield, and I mean, again, I'll say my favorite's still 1942. I would love to have a Battlefield game once again that just has like Conquest and CTF. Not that anyone ever played CTF.
CTF was okay.
But I would love it if it was just, nope, this is a pure Conquest game. No other modes, no other map sizes. It's just this. But I'm also not going to sit here. It's what this seems like it'll be. But I'm not going to sit here and like tell you that the games have been trash since 1942. They're just kind of different.
I liked the rush modes, honestly, and I'm hoping there's at least one. Well, the thing with rush modes is they took place on the same maps. Like, especially in Battlefield 3. Where it was the same maps, but instead of holding various points across the map, it was one side defending, the other side pushing, to where, you know, like they're pushing to get this point, and if they get the point, then it moves to the next one until, you know, either the defenders defend for the time limit or the pushers push and win. Chris makes a good point with regards to your people who you know, people who weren't necessarily in love with Battlefield and where it went. He said, I bet those guys really loved Hardline, though.
Everyone hates Hardline.
Yeah, I don't think there's anyone who likes Hardline.
Hardline is garbage.
Liking Hardline.
I will tell you, Hardline sucks.
Yeah,
it should have been.
Never played it.
Even as like even as a joke, like, oh yeah, they like the police game. I don't think anybody likes Hardline.
I mean, the cop stuff in it is kind of like whatever from the perspective of like it's trying to tell a story about like good cops and bad cops and stuff. Like it's propaganda, but I don't know that's any more offensive than than most media that's about police. And it just sucks. It's just a shitty game. The campaign is like the best part, and the campaign has like 2 good levels in it. Because I mean, it's just.
I think I did play the like the beta for that one for Hardline, and there was like a city map, and you could get on like motorcycles and like rip through the town on a motorcycle, and controlling that was also a nightmare.
Yeah, the vehicles didn't.
Every time I get in a vehicle in the Battlefield game, I'm like, oh god, what's happening?
Well, I mean, the issue is it was just Battlefield 3.
Yeah.
But done, or was it Battlefield 4? I guess it was Battlefield 4.
It was Battlefield. Oh yeah, it did come after 4. You're right.
Yeah. It was basically like a elaborate mod for Battlefield 4. Because it had the same shooting. The problem is that the vehicle physics and mechanics in 4 were built around like dune buggies and Humvees and tanks. So when it was like, okay, what if we just take the Humvee numbers and put them on a Prius instead? That's an exaggeration. I don't think they were Priuses, but like put it on a sports car.
Basically.
And it's like, no, this feels like trash. It doesn't feel, I mean, they wanted it to feel like, be like, what if Grand Theft Auto, I think, but kind of like a multiplayer Battlefield shooter, but it didn't feel good because the vehicles were not, it wasn't designed that, and the physics and engine weren't designed really for that. I shouldn't say engine, because engine can be made to do anything, but the physics weren't designed for that from what they were cribbing from Battlefield 4, and it ended up just feeling like a bad mod in the multiplayer. And the campaign was better than 4's campaign, but it wasn't great. So and also it was short, so buying a $60 Battlefield game, which at the time also had a $30 or $40 season pass for the DLC, and then having shitty multiplayer and playing a like 6-hour campaign that was middling did not feel good.
Yeah.
Anyways,
well,
we could talk about this game for 2 hours, but
I mean, we will talk about it more when it comes out. I think it's good. I think I was expecting for people to hate it no matter what they did, and it seems like they do.
And they do. But I think it's great.
And they're still all gonna buy it and play it.
Well, and beyond that, I think that Battlefield sells. Battlefield is not a Reddit's mad. How's this gonna do? Like,
sure,
yeah.
This isn't like Hood Outlaws and Legends, where it's like, oh shit, only like 10,000 people are gonna buy this game and they're all pissed. It's like, okay, millions of people will buy this video game, and then maybe a few thousand of them complain on Reddit. It's not worth getting worried about.
They got that Sony co-marketing, like they'll be fine.
Yeah, and to me, like when I got Battlefield 2, and I was still relatively young, I didn't realize it was a multiplayer only game. And this was kind of like, that blew my mind back then, because what games were multiplayer only when it came to shooters? Like it was around the same time as like Half-Life 2 and stuff. And even like I'd played Quake 2, which, you know, that had a campaign and stuff like that. But the thing was, like, there weren't that many online communities talking about it back then. It was purely playing it, talking with friends about the stories of like, oh man, like I got on the ship, and you could drive the boats and like the big ass aircraft carriers in Battlefield 2. So like, I drove the ship and like ran it aground, and then we used that as a spawn point, and then we just rushed the shit out of them with like helicopters and boats or like whatever. And like, it was stories that you told people in person rather than going to message boards. And I think that's still the strength of this. Like I have many stories of extraordinarily stupid things that have happened in this beta so far. So I imagine like it's captured that feeling again in a really cool way. And I don't think people chattering on Reddit about, oh, the gunplay feels like shit when it doesn't, or, you know, it doesn't feel like the previous game, so it's bad. Like that doesn't really have that much weight for me personally, but yeah, I think it's worth trying. It seems like it'll be really good.
Yeah. And you know, you can buy a month of EA's premium thing.
That's true.
If you want to play it a little bit without buying it. That's what I did with Battlefield 5, and so I never ended up buying. I own it now because it was like $5 on Steam at some point, but
yeah,
I that's what I did with it at launch, and I was like, this is disappointing to me, and then I wasn't out $60 or whatever. So yeah,
maybe I did. I don't know. Maybe I didn't. Maybe I did that for Battlefield 5 too. I don't remember.
I feel like I remember you playing.
I played a bit. I played a bit, but yeah, I don't remember how much I played, and like, yeah, it didn't stick with me at all. Like I remember like 2 of the maps.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really remember much of the maps either, frankly. I think that the map design that I've seen from this 2042 map is encouraging to me. That was the biggest issue I had with 5 was it felt like they used like more Call of Duty like map design methodology, but just made it bigger. Whereas that's not really what I want. I want like a large open space that has sightlines blocked by trees and buildings and stuff, not 3 lanes.
And there's a lot of different, like, at least on this map, a lot of different like kinds of battlefields. You've got like mountainous terrain and like stuff down by the water, and it's like a big runway for a rocket and stuff like that. So there's all sorts of different situations you can get into.
Yep. Well, we'll see. It's in like a month.
Yeah. Do you think it's going to hit its release date, or are they going to delay it again?
I think if they delayed it, it wouldn't be more than like a couple weeks, I think.
I think if they delay it again and I'm on their marketing team, I would say, okay, March, because like, yes, even if they only needed a couple of weeks, I'd be like, look,
Halo.
This was the window to sell it as a holiday thing. If it comes out in early December, that's where games go to die. It sounds real good for March.
Halo is going to be right there, and
Halo doesn't matter though because it's a Game Pass thing. Like Microsoft doesn't have to think about that stuff in the same way, and it's free to play.
Yeah. Well, but you know that if people can go, oh well, I'm just going to hop on Halo, and then okay, I'm never going to think about Battlefield again.
Totally.
Or if you can get them before Halo and go, okay, we got Battlefield. Oh, Halo's here. Yeah, I can play both. I bought Battlefield, so I should play more Battlefield.
Right.
But
and I think that by the time that's why I would delay it longer than they need if I was going to delay it. Because I also think that by March people are going to be like, oh, hey, there'll be people who play Halo seriously who have been playing the Master Chief Collection all along anyway. But I think a lot of the people who are like, oh, I've never played a Halo, this one's going to be free, are going to be bored by March. So they'll be looking for something else to play.
There's migratory gamers all the time, so they play whatever's new.
But I know a couple people who are like, this Battlefield looks cool, but Halo, I'm just going to wait for that and play it for free and not buy a $60 video game. So
totally fair.
They're going to have to contend with that. But I think it's easier to
tornadoes in Halo.
Well, and it's easier to contend with Halo when 5 or 6 people are all playing Battlefield, and you're like, shit, well, yeah, I could just buy Battlefield right now rather than wait 2 weeks for Halo or 3 weeks or whatever. So I would hope that they get it out the door, because I would suspect it'll be a longer delay than what we've seen for business reasons, if they do have to delay it.
What is it supposed to be? November
19th.
Okay.
I have a 3-day weekend that weekend, so I would like for it to be the same day as Endwalker early access starts.
Oh yeah,
which is brutal, but whatever.
I still gotta.
Yeah, I gotta finish Shadowbringers.
I still gotta finish Stormblood. I'm barely even halfway through that, and
you may, or I don't know. You can, but it's school time now, so. Yeah. Might be tough.
I'm not too like, oh, I got to do it at the same time as everyone else, but just
my partner should be ready for Endwalker also, so it'll be fun to be able to play through.
Yeah, that'll be nice. You can play through it together. Speaking of playing together, yeah. Speaking of Final Fantasy 14 and MMOs. Pat, what the hell have you been doing with Samwise Gamgee and Bimothy?
Yeah, so I'll tell you the tale of Bimothy. So I've been playing a lot of New World still, and obviously want to continue to point out lots of issues and caveats with that game. Go back and listen to last week's discussion. Just Google it, and I'm sure you'll find some explanations as to why there's elements of that game that are problematic, et cetera. But in general, I'm liking New World a lot to play, and it has been interesting to watch the political landscape of New World develop. And I don't even mean in terms of real world politics. I mean the ways in which the factions,
the internal
and guilds,
politics.
Yeah. It's not very good, but it's funny to watch, and it makes me wonder about the long term. I think things will get better as Twitch streamers move away from it, and it gets to be boring for them. I think there's a potential for it to fall into kind of more of a Sea of Thieves-esque community, which is pretty good. But like the positive,
not into EVE Online and the nightmare factory that is.
Yeah, EVE Online's tough because there's parts of EVE Online that are really good and there's parts that are really bad. I mean, EVE Online, there was someone who was like driven to commit suicide by people bullying them in the game.
Yeah.
Like there are aspects of that community that are, and one of the people involved was on the community council that worked with the developers. He was removed from the council after that incident, but also like that someone who's capable of that could rise to that kind of power within EVE. I think CCP is small enough that they don't have the kind of controversy that a lot of teams do, and they have such low turnover, and they've been like a tight team for a long time. But I think there's certainly problematic elements of EVE's community.
I mean more like the Nightmare Factory of like what like factions in the game like going against each other, and like do you think there's like the potential, like these are pre-made factions, this isn't like community like we're gonna make our group, but so I think the way the factions can interact and like raise taxes in certain areas, like is there room for that sort of undermining?
That stuff in EVE is great. What you're talking about, the like in-world
like
toxicity,
the espionage and the warfare and the
that stuff is fascinating.
Yes, when it's not like real life bullying being delivered by the game, I think it's really good. The thing with New World is, it's that stuff causes imbalance. Like if a player spies, it just creates imbalance. It's not the same. Spying in EVE is like a career path. There are skills and ships built around spying, and so it's definitely that way for a reason. Whereas in New World, like you can get, I believe, banned if you like cheat and do certain things to manipulate the faction system. That's probably for the best. I think like the positives about the community is I've seen people being jerks. I have only seen one instance of somebody saying like a slur, for example, in chat, and everyone at once was like, yo, let's report that guy, and got rid of him. So that's encouraging. But anyway, the point of all this wasn't really to talk about New World again. I'm having fun with it, but it started making me think about like it's just kind of missing something, like a certain spark for me. I'm going to keep playing it because my friends are playing it. We're having a good time. But and Final Fantasy has always kind of missed this spark for me too, and I don't fully know what it is. So I ended up like on this path of, I played a little bit of Galaxies on this Galaxies server I found. It's really cool.
Star Wars Galaxies, yes.
Yeah, Star Wars Galaxies, yeah. This Restoration 3 server seems really cool. I'm not sure if the community, I saw someone in the community saying some stuff that was like veiled, and I didn't know the context and I don't know them, so maybe it's fine, but it seemed like, ooh, maybe this community is not great also. And it's relatively small. Like you get like 80 to 100 people playing per day, which is people, but it's not like the
not
bustling.
alive.
Yeah. And I've come to realize over the last few years that my favorite kinds of games are games where things are happening outside of my control and things are happening that I can't even see in big spaces. And it doesn't have to be necessarily large spaces. Like when I say big spaces, Deus Ex counts in this regard to me. Like it's not a huge map. Like maps in Deus Ex are relatively tight, but there's a lot of stuff happening and there's a lot of density to them. And so it can look like a game like that. It can look like a game like Skyrim, where there's a bunch of NPCs that are maybe doing kind of meaningless routines, but they're at least doing things and the world is happening while I'm running around it. And it's vast. And then I think it also extends to MMOs because you've got players running around doing stuff. So to me, population matters to me like on a psychological level, because even if I'm going to get the same experience playing with 80 other players that I'd get playing with 1,000 other players, I like the idea of this world having lots of people doing things in it. So Galaxy's cool. I might go back to it at some point because I love the systems in that game. I checked in on Dark Age of Camelot, which is still being operated by EA. There's a studio that they have that
I didn't realize it was officially still up.
Oh yeah. It is still, you can play for free. There's a limited game you can play for free, and then you could pay a $15 a month subscription fee to play fucking Dark Age Camelot if you want to. And it seems like the developer, they're called Broadsword, that manages it, they seem to do a really pretty good job. There's like they're doing like a 20th anniversary thing that's like a little event. They're not doing big huge new expansions, but they seem like they're trying to figure out, like they have different servers available that are at different, to kind of have different rule sets and stuff. They really seem like they're trying to figure it out. And I saw like this MMOpopulation.com site indicates that there's a ton of people playing it, but then I also saw a post from 2 years ago saying that there's only like 50 people online at a time. So I don't know what the real numbers are like. Clearly enough for EA to continue running the servers.
How many people are just subscribed to it and have forgotten?
Who knows? And also I imagine the amount of infrastructure required to run that is probably almost nothing.
Yeah, exactly.
Like how powerful do the servers have to be to run that? Like
the Discord has like 10,000 people in it, with like 1,000 or 2 online at any time in Discord. So I don't know. I might dip into it a little bit more because I think that game rules. It has like 19 races and 45 classes. Playing a little bit of it, I was like, man, this is such a cool game. Like it is very old ass MMO. You click on an enemy and then they call abilities styles. So it's like a hotbar game that has like,
so you're styling on them.
Yeah, it has the same kind of combo build mechanics that something like Final Fantasy or other games have.
I don't know if this is part of your MMO journey. I know which one is coming. I know what we're leading up to, but have you ever played Mabinogi?
No, I know of it. I never played it though.
It seems like a thing you might enjoy just because it's got a lot of that just unique weirdness and just a lot of like the MMO just kind of the stuff you can only get in MMOs when lots of people are playing it kind of feel.
Yeah.
Like
I'll definitely add it to the list.
Yeah, and I think, I don't know if official servers are still running, but there's definitely some fan servers, and it's worth playing in my opinion. Like prior to playing FF14, I was not an MMO fan, but I liked and respected Mabinogi, so
I gotta give RuneScape another look too, because as much as it's a meme, I've had some people say it may actually have some of the things I'm looking for, which eventually, so, the things that I'm looking for as I play these games and realize I'm looking for kind of like mechanically dense systems, frankly. And I think that's the issue that I have with Final Fantasy XIV, which is a game I like, and I know that it has some of that density at the extreme end of the playing very high level raids and stuff. But the fact of the matter is that I've played that game for like 200 hours, I think, probably at least, maybe closer to 3. I don't know. And I don't know. I couldn't tell you what the stats are, even not even what they mean. But piety is one I know. Like the character screen when I open all those numbers, they're just gibberish because they don't matter while you're playing through the story, which will take you hundreds of hours. So it's that is something that I find like I don't love that about it. I love the story, so I'm going to continue to play it. It's true of a lot of RPGs that you don't really pay attention to the stats that much, but I think there's a sort of, once I'm caught up with the story in Final Fantasy XIV, I don't know if I'm going to be someone who goes into the harder high-end content. I might be the kind of person that drops my sub waiting for another story patch and then picks it back up as they add more story. We'll see. I'll probably dabble in that stuff to see if I like it. New World has some more of that mechanical density to me, but it's also such a young game that I know I'm going to run out of content at some point. And I don't know if the PvP situation will be there to kind of pick that up. We'll see. It doesn't have a monthly sub, so it's an easier one to just kind of dip into now and then. And so, you know, some of this wandering around different MMOs is built around the idea of like, if I were to play something, an MMO every day after I'm done with the New World content and I'm done with the Final Fantasy story, what might it be? And it's not like the most recent one that I've checked out. I don't want to give the impression that it's like, and it all came down to this, because it's just that this just happens to be the one that I dipped into last night a little bit. I'm going to continue. I think I'm going to turn a lot of this into a piece because I am interested in the way culturally MMOs, the space they occupied 10 years ago, 15 years ago, and how different it is now compared to how it was then. And I think a huge portion of that is the way that we communicate now online. Like when I played, my first MMO was Final Fantasy XI. I would have had no clue at all how to talk to somebody about Final Fantasy XI other than sending them a PM or in like shout chat talking. Like there was no like Reddit for Final Fantasy XI I mean, some of that stuff did start to develop far earlier than I was paying attention to it, but I think for a lot of people like me, we weren't going on to, maybe you went on an IRC or something, but even then it would be with like a couple hundred other people who play the game.
AOL keyword bunny.
Yeah, like it just wasn't
BBS,
you know, there. Yeah, I mean, and then maybe web forums, which were super asynchronous and stuff. Like in college, even when a lot of these communication tools were starting to become more evolved, still I played EVE Online, and the primary way that we communicated in EVE Online was in either going into the TeamSpeak, where there may be a few other people who could fill you in on what happened over the last 12 hours, or you just go in game and go in corp chat and say like, okay, what happened? Did we lose this? Did we lose this? And New World is capturing a little bit of that for me, but I think generally it's like you can never really have a nobody knows how Jedi works moment again with a popular MMO, because the way people data mine shit and the way people brute force things, there's every game like this is just going to turn into a spreadsheet. And I think that that's at the core of why it's hard to recapture the magic of older MMOs. But I'm also interested in that as a design challenge and as like a conceptual challenge too. So I'm going to keep playing and maybe put a piece together just kind of about MMOs as a genre. But anyway, the thing that I ended up playing last night, well, I just was like looking at clickbait articles of like best MMOs in 2021. Because I was just curious, like, what are there, because one of the things that I think could solve this for me is I think now there's a prospect of indie MMOs that never existed in the past, because nobody had, the smaller teams and studios didn't have the infrastructure for that. But now, you can do that. I mean, there's a billion survival games that run like that run official servers, and they're just really affordable to run.
Yeah.
And I've seen some indie MMOs that I haven't really been interested in, but I was like, maybe there's a gem out there I haven't stumbled upon that's going on.
Wasn't there a Kickstarter MMO that people were getting pretty psyched on that's supposed to be releasing soon?
I don't know. Maybe.
Give me a sec. I'll see if I can find it.
That sounds. There's always Worm Online, which I will absolutely end up at some point in my wandering, although it's not getting a very good reception right now on Steam, so it seems a little like it might be in a rough spot.
Ashes of Creation is what I'm thinking of.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that. I've looked into that too. It looks pretty cool.
I've heard positive things about that, and that's an indie MMO. So yeah, you're right. It is a different space, because MMOs, especially back in the WoW days and when people were making WoW killers, is the kind of thing. Well, like look at Old Republic. Or Star Trek Online, or other things that came out around that time. Those were massive investments for all of the content that needed to be created on top of all the infrastructure, and those sank so many studios because it was so much to do. But yeah, the fact that an indie space can start to take that on is kind of exciting.
Yeah, it's really cool. Yeah, I think there's still a room for an MMO to happen that nails it. There's games that are trying things like Albion Online and stuff that I think are stabbing in a cool direction, but I still want the game with I like the old visuals. I've come around to the point where I like the way Dark Age of Camelot looks. It looks super fucking dated, but to me it's I look at it and go, man, this is cool looking. Man, this is like, there's so much room for you to fill in the gaps with your imagination and stuff. It's very cool. Anyway, one of the games that I saw on this list, I was like, Jesus, that's still running, is based on the classic literary works of J.R.R. Tolkien, Lord of the Rings Online.
Yep.
Which I looked into some, and like, people fucking love that game still.
Yep.
The way people talk about Final Fantasy 14, people talk about Lord of the Rings Online like that. People talk about how it's one of the best stories they've played in a game. People talk about how it's like the most faithful, even more so than the movies, the most faithful adaptation of Tolkien's work that anyone has ever put together.
Wow.
And people talk about how playing that game is like living in Middle Earth and stuff. Like,
that's just bizarre, because like you think of an MMO, like you don't think of like playing through like a movie story. Are you playing through the story of the books?
I mean, the story of the books is happening, but you are not playing through it. You are a random. This is why it works. I think you are a random nobody who. There's some chosen one stuff there that's like, early on you have a dream where Galadriel's like, you also have an important role to play in this, but it's definitely like, your role is kill a lot of orcs so that they can't kill the Fellowship, kind of thing.
Make some leather bags.
And so I started. I rolled up a Hobbit minstrel, which is one of the healing classes.
Okay.
And
Sick.
in the opening, you're like on the road, and there's a guard there, and he's like, "Oh, it's late at night. You should really be careful out here and stuff." And then none other than Frodo and Sam and Pippin wander up the road talking about food, and then it's basically like the scene where the Black Rider shows up. They just insert you and this other character there.
So you mean the very start of the Fellowship?
Yeah.
Nice.
And you end up running away because there's this Black Rider there, and it wants you to tell it where the Baggins are, and you're like, oh, we don't know, and it lets you sprint away and have to fight some spiders and stuff. And then there's these bandits that show up, and Mundo Baggins, it's a character that's referenced in the books, but he's like, there's these bandits who are going to like kidnap him and take him to the Black Riders because Sauron is looking for Bagginses. And then Strider shows up and rescues you and everything. And
Strider, sorry,
Aragorn. It's before they know he's Aragorn. They call him Strider when he's still just the Ranger of the North. And then you end up in Bree, in a village, and one of Strider's ranger pals is injured, and he's like, I gotta go because this Baggins is not the one that's important. So
this is not my Baggins.
Yeah, this is not my Baggins. It's not the Baggins that they're looking for. This village is pretty fucked though, so you should stay here and help them. But I'm gonna go, and it's really good. Like it is definitely a 2007 ass MMO. I mean, but also the structure of the combat and the way that the class works. It's like I would compare it to like the better classes in Final Fantasy 14. Like the minstrel has like a damage stance and you're playing bits of music as abilities, and they refer to them as like minor and major ballads, and then once you have enough buffs you can play anthems and codas, and they all have different effects and do different like buffs to you while also damaging the enemy. So it's like this interesting combo system where you're kind of building a performance. And it's good. I mean, it's just mashing buttons on a hotbar, just like Final Fantasy or any other of these kinds of MMOs, but it plays pretty well. And I find the visuals very charming, even though they're old and dated. One of the wild things about this is that this game is getting a visual update next year. I don't know what it's going to look like, how much of an overhaul it's going to be.
An official one?
Oh yeah. This is all official. There's a new expansion coming out in November, in about a month. I forget what it's called. It's called like the Perils of Gundabad, and it's the culmination of the fourth arc. That's like their fourth story arc that they've done, and it's like they're basically like around the end of the books, of the Lord of the Rings books. Like the Fellowship was at the Black Gates, I guess, at the start of the last expansion, and I guess the intention.
Slow.
Well, yeah, I think. I mean, it seems like the intent is to keep running the game for a long time because it's the Amazon show's coming, and so I guess there's a bunch of, I don't know if it's planned crossover content, but the articles I was reading was they basically see the Amazon show as new life for the game.
So I mean, you get more people interested in Lord of the Rings because that show is a prequel. I mean, I guess there's no reason you couldn't do like some weird time travel shit, I guess. But like this game came out in 2012. I thought
it came out earlier than that too. I think that's when it came to Steam.
But that was when it came to Steam. It's free to play. What isn't there like what is it? Battle for Middle Earth? Isn't that a game?
That is a game. But LOTR is beloved. Like I definitely had friends who played it in college, like throughout college, and they loved it. And I imagine they still love it. Yeah, like but my question is, canonically in Lord of the Rings, how long did the whole journey take? Like from the start of Fellowship to the end?
The start of Fellowship, then there's
years?
like when Bilbo leaves, Gandalf is like, "Oh shit, I gotta go," and then he's gone for like 30 years, and then he comes back, and then like from there it's like a year.
Yeah. So they're not really starting at the start of the Fellowship at this point. They're starting at the point where they set off for Mordor.
The start of the actual journey. But the Fellowship is like the
time
entire
dilation.
Story that takes place is like.
And I don't know how much. A lot of this is based on reading like forum posts and stuff. So I don't know. I could be totally wrong in my telling of it.
So I was also looking up some Lord of the Rings fiction while we were talking about this, because it's been a long time since I've even thought of Lord of the Rings. And I found a post from October 11th, 2002, posing the question, who is stupider, Merry or Pippin?
That's funny. Let's see. It looks like it's about 2 years that the books take place over.
Merry's the dumb one, dumb but brave. Right?
Interestingly, it's a poll, and 88% of the poll says Pippin.
Oh.
Here, I will link that in the show notes. because that is an important piece of it's an important historical document at this point.
Hey, remember they're making a Gollum game?
Oh God, is that still in production?
So, on September 23rd, 2018, a ring wraith arrives in Hobbiton and Nightfall. Frodo, Sam, and Pippin leave Bag End. And
oh fuck, I forgot it was called Bag End.
And on October 6th,
stupid.
3021,
the sack Bag End.
Samwise returns to Bag End. So 2 years ish.
Fuck, Lord of the Rings is so stupid. I love it.
No, it's not stupid. It's good.
Tolkien was full of those like jokes though.
He was just like taking the piss out of cul-de-sac. He's like, man, it's stupid.
Just like various things throughout.
Anyway, Lord of the Rings Online seems like it's still very good. And
sick.
If you this is not a like ad or an endorsement because it's free to play, so you know, do the fuck what you want. I'm not telling you to spend. I have seen some stuff that the company that runs it right now like tried to scam some people out of their lifetime subscriptions. I don't know how true that is. You know, customer service complaints tend to be like, but it has the game has extremely positive Steam reviews, but the few that are negative are like, don't give this company your money. They're evil. So
which company is it?
They're called Standing Stone Games.
No idea.
Yeah.
Is that all they've worked on?
They also run Dungeons and Dragons Online currently. And they seem to be a shell company for Daybreak, which used to be Sony Online Entertainment.
Oh, okay.
So it seems like
makes sense.
I guess I haven't put any money into Lord of the Rings Online, but I guess when you spend money on their store, it shows up on your credit card as Daybreak Games. So there does seem like there's a little bit of weird something with the way that these companies are subsidiaries and stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I mean, people, all you have to do is look at the Steam reviews. People who are like, "Oh yeah, I have 10,000 hours in this game, and I'm still playing it every day and stuff." And like when I was in this intro area, I saw like 10 other people while I was playing. It was not quite as busy as like a WoW, but it was populated for sure.
Well, you know what they say? It takes 10,000 hours to become a master of LOTR.
I guess. I will say, in case anybody hears this and is like, I'm gonna fucking play Lord of the Rings Online, there's this coupon code that's like LOTR Quest 2021. You get like a ton of stuff for free, and it's all like coupon quest packs. The way they monetize this game, you can pay for a sub every month, and you get faster XP gain and stuff. But you can also play it for free. It's kind of like Elder Scrolls Online. They sell like quest packs, so it'll be like this pack has 300 quests for level 45 to 50 or something. And you get like 20 of those quest packs for free with this coupon, which seems like it's at least like $30 or $40 worth of content, the very minimum.
Can't believe there's coupon codes in 2021 for a 2007 game. It's
pretty cool.
Like that's not a incredulous upsetness. It's like, that's fantastic. That's so interesting.
Awesome. I'm really happy that these games exist still, and I want to see them preserved because I think they're awesome. And in the case of this game, I mean, I think there is a real chance that I could end up playing Lord of the Rings Online after I get wrapped up with a lot of this other story stuff and some of these other games, because I'm really enjoying the writing. I think it's pretty good as MMOs from 2007 go. I'm not going to sit here and say it's like some transcendent story or anything, but it's pretty good, and the combat's fun enough as MMOs go. And I would like to see where it goes. Maybe make there's a couple of paid classes that came with old expansions that you can't really buy unless you find a code for them on Amazon. But yeah.
Lord of the Rings games, all in all, pretty solid, I would say.
There's some clunkers.
Yeah,
but the good ones are really good.
The ratio is better than with Star Wars. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Far. There was did any of you play the Fellowship game
on PS2?
Like on PS2, yeah.
Yeah.
And like they had like
a good game.
I got stuck like early on, like in the forest after you escape Hobbiton, and like when you go to sleep, and then like there's a boss fight against the tree, and I just couldn't figure it out. But I've always wondered, like, should I go back to that and like try and play that? Because
I mean, I guess that's like what we're going to be doing in 2021 is going back to early to mid 2000s Lord of the Rings games.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, go the fuck back to old games. Play more old games. Everybody play more old games.
Sorry,
I'm officially hitting a point in my life where I'm like, you know what? Video games were better a long time ago.
The angry video game nerd and nostalgia critic had it right all along.
Yeah, who knows if it's just kind of cute. That Lord of the Rings Gollum game, its release date on Steam is lurking until the time is right. That's like when you search Lord of the Rings, that's the release date that shows up.
Andy Serkis is majorly involved with that, right?
I don't know much about that game at all, I'll be honest with you.
It could be.
Sorry for interrupting. Andre, you were making a salient point, and I interrupted you about early 2000s games.
It's true. Like there are plenty of like games from that era that are totally worth revisiting and that are super solid. You know, from any era, there's always good games to go back and check out. But it's just weird how like Lord of the Rings, like the Fellowship game, like it's fond in my mind, even though like I got stuck and like I didn't get very far, didn't beat it or anything. But then like the Two Towers video game and the Return of the King video game, I played so much.
Oh, those are great. I think the thing about Lord of the Rings games is, for whatever reason, they actually tried to do like interesting stuff with them. Like, you know, the Fellowship game, if I recall, it was like a weird mix of adventure game and RPG and platformer, and
there was like a lot of stealth stuff, like having to like it had a lot of different Black Rider and
it had like a lot of different gameplay modes to it.
Even look at how experimental they got with the Nemesis system. Like that was really cool.
Yeah, that's kind of what I mean. Is like and then they did those Two Towers and Return of the King. Those games were like co-op brawlers, but they also had really cool character progression mechanics in them that made them like fun for me. I don't normally like those kinds of games because I think they're boring, but those games were like, okay, but also if we do this bonus objective over here, then I can get an extra point that lets me have this, make my sword look cooler and stuff.
They'll light my sword on fire and do sick combos.
So that was cool. The Shadow games are neat because they're like, at first glance you're like, oh, this is just Assassin's Creed, and then you play it and you're like, oh wait, actually there's a lot going on here that's pretty interesting. So I think they're pretty good. Even they did a pretty good RTS back a while ago.
Oh yeah.
And then I forget, Lord of the Rings Conquest was like, it was the first Battlefront. I think it was made by Pandemic, and it was the first Battlefront but adapted to Lord of the Rings. So it was like a multiplayer conquest game, almost like a Battlefield, and you played as grunt soldiers, and then now and then you would get to play as the heroes, just like how in Battlefront it was like you played as stormtroopers and rebels, and then sometimes you got to be Luke Skywalker. And that game was flawed but such a cool thing, and like predated a lot of other games that would do that sort of like multiplayer conquest melee game.
I imagine we can get off of Lord of the Rings soon, but weren't the Lego Lord of the Rings games some of the earlier ones too?
They were the first ones that had voice acting because they just used like the clips from the movies.
That's true. Yeah, I remember that.
So they weren't like the early ones, but they were like kind of the start of the shift in like how they were presented.
Should Lego talk, etc.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So anyway, Lord of the Rings games cool. Old MMOs cool. I'm gonna keep playing old MMOs and then kind of skip around and maybe play some newer ones that I didn't put a lot of time into and see where they're at these days. Maybe put a piece together.
Sounding like you're stuck in some sort of time loop, Pat. Like you're just reliving.
Let's do the time warp again.
Yeah, so
reliving the games of yesteryear that you've played again and again. You just wake up and you're like, I'm going to play this game. Then you wake up again and go, I'm just going to play this game. And it's the same game.
This is a segue to 12 minutes.
No, thank God. Please, never again.
Pat is here to reevaluate his opinions on 12 minutes.
Let me think about it. No, it still sucks. No, so I finally started playing the Echoes of the Eye DLC for the Outer Wilds, which is one I thought I would end up being like, oh my God, I got to play this day one. New World fucked my shit up because for the first week, you had to sit in 2-hour-long queues to get into the servers, and it was like extremely resource intensive on your PC while you sat in the queue because it loaded like a scene that was like very dense with stuff and your character was on screen. So it basically was like it was running the game. So you couldn't like just queue and then minimize it really, because that game is not super well optimized. So like it runs fine for me, but it's not like, you know, like my partner sometimes will have Final Fantasy and WoW running at the same time and tab between them. You can't really do that with New World and other games. So anyway, I didn't end up starting Echoes of the Eye because I was trying to play that game with my friends, New World with my friends, and not get totally left in the dust in terms of my level and stuff. You know, I'll say, I think I'm in the credits for Echoes of the Eye. So keep that in mind. I did some playtesting with them. That was extremely cool. And I couldn't talk about for a very long time.
We had to be quiet about it too, but it sounded rad at the time.
And I didn't really even tell anybody anything about it then because I was under NDA. I didn't get like super deep in Echoes of the Eye. I don't have super long form thoughts on it. But holy crap, like seeing the placeholder art, and then I knew the premise of this DLC, which I won't spoil for people, when I got into it last night, and like holy shit, when I saw like one of the new spaces you go to, I just was like, this is so much more impressive than I would have even thought it would look.
At a very high level, is it something that's kind of following the end of that game, or is it kind of a branch from the original path?
It's, well, I don't know for sure. It turns out I thought I played a very big chunk of it when I play tested it, and I actually played maybe a third of it, maybe.
Cool.
It is actually, from what I hear, 5 to 8 hours long, depending on how much you solve, how quickly you solve the puzzles. But it is definitely in the Outer Wilds tradition of, I guess, like looking at it and going, oh, this is probably X length, and then it turns out it's 2 or 3 times longer than what you thought it was. Which is great.
Is it slotting in just like if you started Outer Wilds as a new player, could you just like stumble upon it like you stumble upon everything else? Okay.
Yep,
that's pretty cool.
It's not obviously tied to the kind of core objective in Outer Wilds, but the time loop is still happening. It has, much like the other, I mean, I guess if you want absolute complete, I'm not going to spoil anything about the mechanics of it or how to act, like how to do anything in it. But if you want complete and total blindness and you haven't started playing it yet, as far as the game is concerned, pause, turn the volume down for a couple minutes. I'm not going to talk about it for very long. But the way that the game introduces the DLC is it'll say like, hey, there's a new exhibit in the observatory on Timber Hearth, and you go there and it's like there's a sign on the wall that says new exhibit, and it's like, oh yeah, we have this awesome satellite that gives that's the way we're able to look at a map of the solar system, and it's it's all managed from this radio station that's on the north, or like out there on Timber Hearth. And so then you kind of fly around the planet a little bit and you find this new radio station, and in it there's like this recording that's like, oh yeah, we got the satellite working and everything, it's so cool, but man, I'm printing out these pictures from it and it's amazing, I've never seen pictures like this before. That's a really weird looking thing in one of the pictures, but whatever. Must be a problem with the lens. and that's kind of like the breadcrumb to go off and find this thing. It's not as simple to access as like the other stuff in that game. I think they very smartly slotted it in. So if you're a new player, you're probably just going to take off and be like, oh, I want to go to Giant's Deep. Oh, I want to go to the Hourglass Twins, because you can just see them. Yeah. And then more than likely, I would think you would want to go, okay, well, I'm going to play through this stuff that I now have a bunch of rumors for. I'll look at that radio tower and when it connects. And I don't think it ever will, because it is content that's separate from everything else. But and I will say, I played for like 2 hours last night. The first hour was just spent playing Outer Wilds, not the new content, but just like checking off some rumor log stuff. I was like, oh, this is fun because I know how to do this, so I can just go here and not mess with the puzzle and just immediately end up in this place that normally would probably take you a few hours to get to, which is fun. But yeah, the DLC introduces some new mechanical concepts in smart ways, and beautiful to look at. I mean, truly, if you're not someone who played the original game and you don't like adventure games and you don't want to play it, I would at least look up some playthroughs of this thing, because one of the things that's so impressive about Outer Wilds is the way that visually everything is just happening, and systemically as well. Like it's a large space where things are happening all the time. The same thing is true here, and it is stunning to look at, like the way that this space that you are operating in is kind of changing over the course of the loop and stuff. And I also, this isn't a spoiler because it pops on the menu when you launch it. There's a thing, and this wasn't evident in my playtesting at all, really. That's like, Echoes of the Eye may be too intense for some players. If you want a more relaxing experience, you can check the reduced frights box in the options menu. And from what I have heard, and this is not a spoiler because I haven't even gotten to any of this stuff yet, but it is straight up like scary as fuck at parts of this DLC. Like horror game, like, I don't know, I haven't heard people say amnesia, but it sort of sounds like maybe there's some like actual physical danger stuff that you have to avoid that is scary.
Kind of like Subnautica. Like I don't know if you've actually we know, but because Subnautica definitely had some of that kind of this is scary as fuck moments.
I think it's more like, I mean, because Outer Wilds has a creepy vibe pretty frequently. Like even going to Giant's Deep was one of the things I did when I started again. I was like, man, this is unsettling to be here, like with these huge tornadoes and
the bramble is.
Yeah, well, that stuff is already kind of spooky. Yeah. I do think that this is more directly like you are I think, again, these aren't spoilers because I don't know for sure. I haven't played it, but I suspect that it is you're walking around a space trying to complete objectives while something malicious is like coming after you, and scaring you. Or if not malicious, it is at least there is another entity around that is scary. So anyway, seems like if you like that game, I haven't seen anyone say anything negative about it. It has incredible reviews on Steam for the DLC. It seems like people love it. The only things complaints I've seen is people saying, yo, what the fuck, I didn't want to play a horror game. But I am saying, I want to play horror games. Please take all the games I love and make them scary. So it's exciting to me. Let's put some jump scares in Civ 6, baby.
Gandhi pops up on your screen, just screaming.
The screen to scream at me. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
So anyway, I'm excited to continue to play it. It makes me want to play it at night though. That's the only thing, since it is kind of creepy. What I've played so far, by the way, it's not like it's like you hit the jump and you're immediately in a horror game either, to be clear.
Yeah.
Like I haven't seen anything scary in the hour of the DLC that I've played. So
I gotta get on that. Like Outer Wilds, incredible game. And
let me rephrase. Something scary happened, but it was an Outer Wilds scary kind of thing. It was a oh shit, oh fuck, oh god, not a
the vastness monster. Of space.
Sort of. It was like, oh, I'm just walking across this planet, and now there's a meteor, and oh god, I'm falling, and oh god, there's a black hole, and what's going to happen to us now? It was that kind of stuff, not a monster attacking me.
That stuff just all came together and made like an incredible game.
Yeah. Oh,
like, absolutely phenomenal. And so I'm excited to get to that DLC when I do.
It
when that'll be, I don't know, but
continues to be my favorite video game. So I definitely recommend it.
Well, speaking of people's favorite video games, I'm sure Alex is here to tell us about his favorite video game.
Dota 2.
Dota 2?
Hey, you take that however you want. It's your game.
Of those two, I would actually probably say that Dota 2 is probably my favorite game, even though I don't really play it anymore.
That's fair.
I think we've talked about this before, where I would say that objectively it's probably the best game ever made, and I would still stand by that.
I have a lot of fond memories and like affection for League of Legends, even though I don't play it anymore. Like I do think like, oh man, what if I played League of Legends?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And I enjoyed my time, and different strokes for different folks, but just because you don't play it anymore doesn't mean like you can't think it's really good.
Yeah, like I think it's incredible. It's just I have moved on from that part of my life, but something I don't move on from is whenever the international is happening. And currently, the international is happening. TI-10, which originally was supposed to be last year, originally was supposed to be in Sweden, but got canceled because of just, the world. And it's back, baby. It's back. It's better than ever. It was supposed to be in Sweden again, but it got moved because Sweden... What was it? I forget. Pat, do you remember how they phrased it? They basically said like, we don't want it has to be a major sporting event to take place in this arena, and esports don't count. So Valve was like, fuck it, we're going to Bucharest in Romania.
Yeah.
And then a couple days ago or last week, they were going to have it in an arena in Bucharest. However, they refunded everyone's tickets because it turns out Romania has one of the lowest vaccination rates in Europe, and they're currently having
good choice. They chose well.
Yeah, they're having somewhat of an outbreak to the extent where they were just like, you know what, let's just not. So it's one really funny side effect that's been happening of this is the fact that Valve, or I don't know if it's Valve or the casters or the production crew, is occasionally just piping in like crowd cheering noises, like basically almost like a laugh track, but like crowds getting hyped. And they will do it for like completely arbitrary things, like the last hit of the mid lane or something. It'll just be like the crowd goes wild, and it's really hilarious.
For what it's worth, that does happen.
Crowds do that. Yeah,
it is very. I've been to 2 TIs, and 100% that does happen.
You can hear, I can't remember now if it's that I had streams going and I was spectating, or if it was that when you spectate, you just get the commentary audio and you can hear the crowd noise. I think it's the latter, actually, when you spectate TI matches. And there's definitely times when like the crowd has cheered and I've been like, they cheered 20 minutes into the match because someone scored a deny. And it wasn't even like, it's just like stuff happening in lane.
Yeah.
And it's because the crowd is so tapped in to know that like, oh, if he had been able to get that last hit, he would have been able to get his blink dagger. So that's why
I love
good
that.
because there's yeah.
There was a League of Legends match years ago where someone, like, every time a ward was killed, like the crowd just went absolutely nuts. And it was like for that entire match, people going wild. Also, League of Legends, their like international, their worlds is happening right now as well.
Yeah. Is it the first time
on that?
Is it the first time they've been happening at the same time?
Probably. Like international is usually in August-ish, right? Mm-hmm. So this is normally when Worlds is for League. So because of like all the COVID stuff and the pandemic and yada yada, it just lined up this time. League is doing like they're doing like multiple areas. I think I don't know, but yeah, you're international.
Look, all I'm saying
like
is
they're doing like I think in like multiple like they're doing like some matches here and then after like 2 weeks like a week later it's like here I think.
All I'm saying is
I wasn't following close.
Seattle has one of the best vaccination rates in the country, and there's a newly renovated arena that
arena?
August of next year. Well, now it's called Climate Change Arena.
Really?
Yeah, Amazon bought the naming rights and they named it Climate Change Arena.
I didn't know that.
Oh god, that's even worse.
Yeah, it's awful.
Wow.
It is an exemplary of the worst parts of Seattle.
Just call it Amazon New World Arena. Like, come
on. Holy crap. That's
just
amazing.
just call it like anti-union arena.
Union busting arena.
Yeah, something's about to bust, and it's the unions in our arena. But I'm just saying, August of next year, it's going to be pretty empty, and good vaccination rates, and
Yeah, I mean, the 2 TIs I went to were both in Key Arena, and it was a fantastic time. I heard the Vancouver one was also pretty fantastic.
That's what I heard. A friend of mine went up there and to see it. It was like the first year I lived here.
I almost went, and I should have, because it was a really good year for it too.
If I had been more settled, I think I would have. I was still like making some friends and stuff. If I had known that my friend was going, this was before we were like friendly enough for me to be like, hey, can I hang out with you at TI?
Oh, sure.
But at this point, if I knew they were going up there, I would be like, yo, we don't have to room together, but can we sit together?
But yeah, so long story short, because I could talk about TI at length, but we've already talked about a bunch of games at length. If you have never watched competitive Dota and you have any inkling of interest, I would very heavily recommend watching TI. Even these group stages, I think getting into the group stages might be a bit much because there's so much of it. Like, group stages is every team playing every other team, essentially. Like, they're split into groups, so it's not exactly that. Yeah. But it's a lot of games, and there's I think there's 5 streams that happen simultaneously, because there's up to 4 games happening at once, and the first one is like an aggregator that switches between them. So
see, League doesn't do that. They want you to watch every single game. They
will do that. But with TI, they will do that past
when they have
the group stages. Like when it's the actual tournament, then it's kind of like a main stage event. But like TI is the best time of the year to watch Dota, in my opinion. Like the majors are always great, but TI is where everybody's on their A game. And even in these group stages, there have been some absolutely bonkers matches. Like, I think there was a match between OG, who were reigning 2-time back-to-back champions. I think they were also the first back-to-back champions and also the first to win 2 TIs. But they were playing against Virtus Pro and were extremely, extremely far behind. And spoilers, sorry, for a group stage game that happened a couple days ago, but they were extremely far behind. Like in Dota, kills don't matter that much. It's more about like how much gold you have, how much net worth you have, how much levels you have, and things of that nature, and how much momentum you have ultimately.
What you do with the kill that matters.
Yeah, for sure. Like you can be really behind in kills but have most of the towers, and you're still probably going to win because of gold and just momentum and map control and things like that. And OG was extremely far behind in all aspects. Like if you were to throw up a graph, it would have looked like, that's like a 10% win chance, and they fucking won. And it was very hype. Even if you're just watching it from home and watching it like totally by your own. Yeah, it was basically Virtus Pro whiffing one fight, like basically using one ability poorly, and then the momentum 100% shifted in the blink of an eye, and then they just won. It was super fantastic. And there's like lots of moments like that, to where if you don't know Dota, like if you've never watched a MOBA ever, Dota, it can be hard to parse because there's so much going on. and like the UI is pretty dense, and there's a lot of mechanics. Like there's a lot of items, there's a lot of modifiers, like, oh, does this person have an egg scepter? Do they have a shard? Oh, what does the shard actually do? What are their abilities in the first? Like, there's a lot of stuff going on. But in general, the casters are doing a pretty decent job splitting between people who have that knowledge, and like throwing in just enough nuggets of information to keep you going if you don't. And if you watch in the in-game client, there's lots of ways to like hover over the abilities, pause the live match, figure out what's going on. And I don't know if May, I know you're in the chat. Maybe you'll know if you're watching more than I am. But do they still do the noob stream? Because there used to be a noob stream, which was great.
Yeah, I think it's still there. I think I saw it when I was looking for that.
It's probably going to be more during the main event, more so during the group stages. But the noob stream is basically where they recognize that the people watching the stream don't know MOBAs, they don't know Dota, they don't know the mechanics. So they will explain some of the core things that are going on and say like why it is so bonkers. So yeah, TI is going on. It's 100% worth watching. I forget the dates of the main event. Give me 1 second. I'll look it up as we're talking. Yes.
I thought I thought I saw someone saying that like
17th.
Even in like the the 17th. I thought I saw someone saying even in like the Twitch stream they came up with like some sort of overlay where you could hover over the screen and get like tooltips for items or something. I don't know if that's right. I might have misunderstood what I was reading, but so cool. Basically they're saying like, hey, if you check this out, you can like actually now get more info about like what's happening on the screen, like what is this item, who is this hero, what are their moves.
Cool.
And so obviously if you're in the in game you can do that, but
yeah, that's awesome. And thanks, May, she clarified grand finals are the 17th, but 12th is just for the main event, the brackets. So
Gotcha.
If you just want to watch one event, definitely check out the finals on the 17th. But if you want something in the background that's pretty awesome, I'm starting the 12th. But if you're in North America, the time zones are a little funky because it's in Bucharest, Romania. So like for me, a lot of these games start at midnight where it's like, that's during the week.
That's the biggest thing, and it's obviously global, so I don't mean to suggest that it's more important that they're live when I'm awake, but I was watching yesterday, I just had it on while I was working, and I like glanced up and the stream was over, and I was like, why? It's like 3:00 or something like that. But it's because that's like very late there.
Yeah, it's like 11 p.m. there, something like that. So
for them to be broadcasting Dota, I mean.
Yeah. So
sorry,
go for it.
I was just gonna say, I was looking at this, like the schedule has me interested. I was looking at the league stuff and their finals, November 6th, and they are currently doing like knockout games. So they are that
is over a long period.
they are doing like they are broadcasting everything, like group stage, every game, individually. Yeah.
That's
a lot. And they take off, like they don't do like every single day. It's like weekend, like maybe like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then they get the rest of the week to like train and whatever, and then Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I think it looks like maybe Thursday to Saturday. I don't know. Yeah, different schedules all the time.
But yeah, like I certainly respect LCS, and I think there's been some pretty crazy good games and good plays that have come out to it. But just TI has some of the best esports moments I've ever seen, just over the years. So I'm expecting there to be some bonker stuff given the teams that are involved and the stakes that are involved, because this is a $40 million tournament. Like it's, I forget how much the top team is taking, like 18 or 19 million. Like that's kind of insane. I think the last place team is taking even 100,000. So like it's big stakes. Anyways, I'm sure we'll be talking about TI again as we approach the finals and probably after the finals. So expect more chat about that. I got another game that we can talk about though.
I believe we've heard about this game on this podcast before. Brought by one Allison, who could not be here today because of technical difficulties.
Her microphone decided it just doesn't want to work. So I have been playing kind of at her recommendation, I suppose. Idol Manager, which the way she kind of described it sounded really appealing to me, where I think she basically described it as kind of like Sim Tower meets, like an idol, like Japanese J-pop idol group, but you're managing them and you're making choices like, are you going to record a single that's in like a poppy style, or like you're going to be baby metal, or you're going to record a bunch of metal, and you decide what the lyrics are about. And the group, like you're hiring the idols, you're getting ones who are really good at singing or really good at dancing, or they're really cute, or, like they're really funny or smart. Like it has all these stats going on, and you're building a group that best works off of each other. But it also has, like any good management sim, in my opinion, it progresses a story along. Like you are aiming for goals, and you are essentially like you're fulfilling certain things, like get a number one hit, like release a single and it hits the number one of the charts or something like that. And once you hit that goal, you'll progress the main story on, or things like that. And there's side stories that come up. So if you hang out with one of your idols and then you kind of like get to know them and you get to be friends with them, you can ask them like, hey, what are your dreams and your wants and dreams for the world? And she'll be like, I want to do this. I want to host a TV show or something. And if you get that to happen, then like there's other story stuff that happens with your idols that you hire, who, they seem like randomly generated characters essentially, and they are to an extent, but they end up having a really fascinating amount of personality to them, to where like you actually kind of get to know like who gets along with whom, and what they like, what they don't like, and like their propensities for being dramatic or like showing up in the public eye in a negative light. And like if you have to reprimand them, then they're going to be bitter against you, or like. And one of the things Allison mentioned about this game that's really interesting is that it can be kind of dark. Like there can be like the idols can bully each other in pretty rough ways. There can be scandals that come up. There can be things where it's like it seems like you can basically get stalkers. There's like you're working with idols who might be under 18, and they're getting involved in scandals that you wouldn't want those kinds of people to go through. Or like it seems like it get to the point where it seems like if enough bad things happen, you have 2 meters. You have a physical stamina meter for each girl and a mental stamina meter for each girl. And if the mental stamina meter gets low enough, they get into a state of depression, to where you need to bring them to a doctor who is trained in mental health to help them out of it. And then they will probably go on a hiatus for many months. And I haven't seen what happens with an idol who gets super depressed. Thankfully, I haven't gotten to that point. But it seems like it would not be out of band for this game to tackle like, there are pictures of your shows online where the idol has clearly been like cutting herself or something of that nature. Like it seems like it would not pull punches with that, because it gets pretty intense, and it makes sense. So one thing that we brought up, and we talked about it like, I don't know, 2 or 3 months ago, was we were trying to figure out who worked on this game. And I had pulled up a Kickstarter and I rattled off, there was someone named Justin Kuiper who worked on it. And I was like, okay, that's that. It turns out I forgot. Sorry about this, Justin. You listen to the podcast, and has for a while, because Justin worked on Necrobarista and was someone who we had many, many communications with. And Justin, you also sent us a lot of information about Idol Manager, which was really amazing and fantastic. I have not yet replied to it. Sorry, it's been very busy. But like knowing that connection is there now, and knowing like Necrobarista also dealt with some pretty heavy topics, and so does Idol Manager, which I wouldn't have expected from a manager sim or a management sim. And I think it handles all of it really well, because for one, it all feels very dynamic. Like just in a management simmy kind of way, you want that stuff to feel dynamic. You don't just want to feel like you're being led down a very specific path. It feels like if you were to restart the game, you would have a completely different experience, which is pretty ideal for those kinds of games for me. But it does feel curated and directed enough to where you're actually getting a satisfying story experience. So it threads that needle really well. And Allison mentioned that it seems like the community is constantly finding new secrets and new things that you can do. And I haven't looked too deep into that, frankly, but yeah, I'm very excited to keep getting into it. It's the kind of thing where I basically toss it on for, you know, an hour or something in the evenings if I just need something mechanically not ultra intense. And it's just a great way to pass time. Also, it's fucking hard. Like but I think that it also plays into the story, because you have to balance between like your idol's mental health and their physical health, but also the business. Like it's the kind of thing where you can get your idols to go do photo shoots or be guests on some TV show or a radio show or something, and that takes some of their stamina. And it's like, okay, well, you can give them a spa day, which will cost you 10,000 yen or something, and that will heal them for 10 stamina points. But also, if your business is in the red, can you afford to keep putting their mental health forward, or do you need them to keep working? Like,
yeah,
it gets to be to where, like, I was prioritizing their mental health, and then very quickly I was very deep in the red and had to take like a big loan because like it was becoming unsustainable. And it's like, oh shit, so I'm gonna have to friggin' exploit these girls to friggin' keep the business floating. And it's rough. It's hard.
Yeah. So. Those manager games, they're always doing something interesting. Like on the surface, you're like, oh yeah, this is just like, I'm gonna make some songs. Do I want to be happy songs, sad songs? No, it's way deeper, which is cool.
Yeah. Like if dear listener, you've ever played a game like Game Dev Sim or something like that, this is reminiscent of it, but way more story focused, and just it has really cool systems, and it has a lot more systems than you would expect. So like pretty dense game in a lot of ways, and just a lot more going on than you would anticipate just looking at it at the surface. So pretty impressive. Good. I'm going to keep playing it, and definitely Allison recommended it. I would also recommend it. Even if you don't particularly care about J-pop or idols, I think it's a good management sim, and it threads all of the needles really well.
All right. And that's Idol Manager. I also played a game that wasn't Battlefield 2042. Besides Lost Judgment, which I'm continuing to push my way through. That story still seems good to me. But I played this week's new release, Metroid Dread.
Oh yeah.
Because I like me some Metroid style games, and I've never beaten a Metroid game ever. I played like Super Metroid on the Switch Online, and then I just fell off and I never got back to it. I played a lot of Metroid Fusion on GBA, but I always got stuck, and I could never figure out why I couldn't like get where I needed to go. That happened like multiple times, and I always got stuck in the same spot. And like there was a marker on the map, and it was like, go here, and I'm like, I'm here, and I can't do anything. What is happening? But yeah, I'm playing Metroid Dread now, I guess the final game and whatever like main story saga they envisioned with the Metroid game, starting with like the first Metroid, Super Metroid.
I think that's bullshit.
Samus Returns, is that part of it? I don't know. They're calling this like the final game and whatever saga. I don't know.
It's a way for them to say, don't ask us for another one.
Yeah,
people
probably
shut up, and they can continue to make Metroid Prime 4, and that's its own separate thing, and not have people just generally clamoring for Metroid games. It'll be side-scrolling one if they want to down the line.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this one sells, because like traditionally Metroid games do not sell well, and like a lot of people talking about this one, but I don't know how that is going to pan out, because it came out at the same time as like the Switch OLED, so a lot of people wanted to get a game to play with it. smart of them to put those at the same time. But
yeah, totally.
This is a very slick Metroid game.
Slick in what sense?
Like, it's just like very well produced and animated, and it's got a lot of story, like cutscenes. Like you'll walk through a door to be like, oh, now we're in a cutscene and something's gonna happen, and then you're back into gameplay. Or like you'll slide through like a slidey hole. You slide through a hole in the wall and then into a cutscene, and something cool happens, fully animated 3D stuff, and then back into gameplay. Whereas like a lot of most of the Metroid games that aren't Prime or Other M were all just like 2D and everything happened on that 2D plane. But there weren't like cutscenes really.
I forgot about Other M.
I never played Other M.
It was weird. It was weird.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like really cool to look at. Like those scenes are pretty neat. The what is it? Yeah. So the setup is basically they recap the big grand overview of like the Metroid games up till now. Like there are these things called Metroids, and they're dangerous. And then, I got Metroid DNA. Oh no. And then there's also these like X parasite things. And then the X parasites created like an alternate version of me. Oh no. And then that happened. And now we think they're all gone. And then we got some video of an X parasite or whatever they're called. And we traced it to this planet. So Samus, you need to go check it out. Because there's a bounty on it. Samus is a bounty hunter.
Is it clear that there are Metroids on this planet? Because wasn't one of the conceits of Super Metroid that there were no more Metroids?
There has been no mention of Metroids as of yet.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah, so there have been no mentions of Metroids, but there have like the thing that pulled us to this island or this planet is like an X parasite. A video of an X parasite. And when you arrive, this is not a spoiler because this is like the opening cutscene, you encounter a live Chorizo.
Yeah.
Chorizo, which Chorizo are like the kind of like ancient alien species that I don't know if they've actually, I guess, were there like alien or like not alien zombie Chorizo or something in other games? Because they have them in Smash, and like they can grab you. I don't know.
They were
maybe.
They were in Prime.
Yeah.
Okay. They were definitely in Prime.
Yeah. So you encounter this Chorizo, and he just messes you up, and that's how they justify the taking away all your abilities. Like he does something to you, and then you wake up and you're like, "What happened?" And you've lost all your abilities. So that's where it starts off, and you're doing your Metroid thing. It's really nice to have like a full 360 control of like where you're aiming. Samus moves pretty quick, which is also nice. Like it's not flash or shine run or whatever the super speed yet. I assume I'll get that at some point maybe, but early on, what they've kind of introduced is more of a stealth mechanic that you need to be engaging with. Because there are these things called Emmys, which are these big like robots that which were sent by like your employer or like sent by like the Galactic Federation or whatever main government body there is to this planet to do something. And then while they were there, that's when you got the video. So they were here. They've been, I don't know, compromised in some way. So they're trying to kill you if you come into contact with them.
Oh, so they were at one point friendly, but now not?
Yes. They were supposed to be like reconnaissance and like, collecting information and sending it back. You lost contact, and now they're trying to kill you. They've got, so what you learn is, one, they're basically indestructible. like with Samus's normal power. Even if Samus didn't lose her abilities, she would just not be able to kill these things on her own. And 2, they can like adapt themselves to like whatever situation they need to. So I think that means over the course of the game is you're going to encounter, like, they're going to have more abilities as you get further in. Cool. And so they'll be harder to deal with. There is like a limited number of them, and they say up front there's like 6 of them or something. So like, okay, I have like this many kind of instances to consider running into these things.
So
please, Alex.
So there's 6 of them, and are they just constantly patrolling areas?
They are in preset areas. You'll like go to an area, and you'll know you're going into an area where it's patrolling, but it's not on like a necessarily a preset path or anything, or it's not like Mr. X and Resident Evil 2. They're not just roaming around the entire map. They are in set areas, and you go through, and you're like, oh shit, I gotta run, and they can hear you, and if they hear you, then they'll start like coming for you, and then if they see you, then they like really start gunning for you.
That's cool.
But you get tense. Like it can be. Like I heard some people saying like, oh, it's like a horror game. Like it's mostly fine for me. Like, there is like, oh, I don't want to be near these things because they can one hit kill you. Like if they touch you on the screen, then you get into like this cutscene, and there is a quick time event you can do, which is very tight timing. And there's like a flash on the screen, or be like a flash like in their eye or where they're attacking, like their arm when they attack you. And if you hit the X button on the controller, then you'll do like a counter, and then you can like stun them and get away. But if you miss that, it's a one hit kill, and then you have to like go back to like go back a room or whatever to a save point, which is not bad. They're like, it's not like go way back to like, oh, I saved 5 minutes ago or anything. It's just like, okay, oh, you're in the previous room.
It's also not Dark Soulsy in that you're losing resources by dying.
No, it's pretty generous in that way. And like I've heard people say it's like super hard, and like there's challenge to it in that way, but it's been pretty generous, and like it's like this is challenging, but we're not being punishing by making you lose a bunch of progress.
Yeah.
That being said, like accessibility wise, it is asking you to push like a lot of buttons, like a lot of buttons, just to like, okay, now I need to like stand in place and like holding multiple trigger buttons, and then different face buttons to do stuff, and different combinations of that. And so like that could be a bit of a challenge. I don't think there's a ton of remapping you can do, because it's Nintendo and they don't like you to remap things. So if that is a concern, be aware of that. But
isn't there some remapping you can do at the OS level, but probably not as much as you want?
I don't think so. I've got my Switch here. I can at least pull up the accessibility stuff in the game, see what they've got. But let's see. Okay.
Yeah, there is remapping abilities from the OS level.
Okay.
So, but I don't know if that would really help per se.
Yeah. I like you can't change anything in the game. It's just here's the controls. So that's a bummer. If that is something that is important to you, be aware of that going into the game, that you cannot change the controls, and it will be asking you to like multiple shoulder buttons and face buttons at the same time. It's pain. But I've been playing on just my regular old, like, launch-ish Switch, not from launch, but, launch
your
window.
Shitty, garbage, outdated piece of crap Switch.
Yeah, seriously.
That's just all of them.
Hey.
Got them. But yeah, this is my, 2017 Switch or whatever, whenever they came out. And it looks good. It's fine. Great to play. I'm enjoying it. I'm wanting to play more, and yeah, I think it's a good time if you're into Metroidvanias. It's a good Metroid game. Like, I don't know what you want, but it is that.
Give her a whip, make it a Metroidvania.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She has a whip sometimes, like an energy beam.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Smash Brothers.
Yeah. But any indication how long it is, more or less?
I haven't looked. I assume it's probably like 10-ish hours.
Wow, that's significant. That's cool.
I mean, I feel like that's pretty standard for Metroidvania type games now.
Yeah. I haven't played a 2D Metroid in a long time, so.
Yeah, sure. I mean, for a 2D Metroid game, it's been a long time since they made one, but I would figure they would want to stay kind of like with the industry, like keep up with but Nintendo does what Nintendo does.
Yeah, they got to keep up with Luna Nights, baby.
There are, I would assume they would want to, for like game price and the expectation, it's gotten really positive reviews. For this kind of game, I would expect in the 10-ish hour range. Obviously, there are these kinds of games that go higher than that, but that's what I'd kind of expect here.
Is it a full price game? Like retail?
Yes, it is $60. Or yeah, it is like 60 or whatever it is in your country.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. I mean, it seems like it's high production value and everything. So.
Yeah, it looks very good. The animations are really cool. There was a moment that just made me go, "Oh fuck yeah!" Like after the first boss fight, I was like, "Oh hell yeah, Samus, kick ass."
That's cool.
So yeah, it's nice to see them like really like, you know, bring Metroid into the 21st century, like the 2D Metroids into the 21st century, and go, you know, we can like animate some cool ass shit now, and like actually animate some cool ass shit.
Yeah, I mean, Metroid's always had cool ass shit, but now that they're going bonkers with it, or they have the potential to do so at least. Yeah,
like they've done stuff with Metroid Prime, and like Other M had like Other M was like a platinum game, wasn't it?
Was it?
Yeah, it was.
I think so. Yeah. So I'm sure that had some absolutely bonkers stuff in it too, but this was just like, oh hell yeah, that's cool as hell.
It's part of my long running theory that people,
it was Team Ninja.
Team Ninja. Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't platinum.
I knew it was one of those.
Also hit and miss, but
yeah. So what I was gonna say is like whoever it was, they're like a very hit and miss team, and I don't get excited when I hear platinum or Team Ninja. Really, I just want to see the game first.
Yeah, because there is an A team and a B team for both those studios.
For sure.
Yeah, but Metroid Dread seems good so far. I'm in like the second area now. We'll see how it goes. Now there's like hot and cold areas, of course, as is the case with Metroid games a lot. And right now I don't have a good suit because this Chorizo like blasted my suit off, and so I've got like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't have all the armor.
I mean, really intense
like zero
Chorizo.
Suit. It's just, really intense
Chorizo will blow your suit off, if you know what I'm saying.
And that's what I think. That's what happened to us when we were playing Battlefield 2042 earlier.
That's what Alex is saying. Alex, yeah. I shit my pants when we were playing Battlefield.
Yeah, that's BC2, Bad Chorizo 2.
Yeah.
Didn't we make that exact joke? God damn.
You said Bad Chalupa. You said Bad Chalupa. Yeah. So I was just bringing it around back. Yeah.
I'll make sure to use that image as our episode image, by the way, of all three of us playing together and all dying on top of each other.
Yeah. Battlefield 2042. That was a good moment. So yeah, that's it for games we played talk this week.
Yeah, there's a lot of them. Holy crap! Holy cannoli!
It's not even necessarily a lot of them. Just we
crap is a bad word
about
we shouldn't
them
say anymore. You're right.
Gotta clean up our act, guys.
Yep. This we're going family friendly.
So angry, I'm gonna shit my pants right now.
And now we're family friendly.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what they do at Pokemon tournaments. So.
No, they shit in the hallway
and throw it at each other.
Smear it on the walls or something.
Oh God.
a little bit of a little bit of one, a little bit of the other.
Yeah. Anyway.
Anyways. News.
News. This week,
there's a shit ton of news also
this week. Yeah.
We can't talk about all this for like an hour.
No, we cannot. But there are some important things that happened. Like the entirety of, not the entirety, most, like 98% of Twitch like leaked like source code and revenue numbers for like top streamers, and like I bought a bunch of like behind the scenes stuff for related to their like like security, like
I downloaded the leak, which
oh my god, we got a hacker here,
which technically not legal, whatever. I was actually more curious about looking at their code because I'm a programmer, in case y'all don't know who are listening, and I was just interested in their coding practices and like, you know, this is technically some proprietary code where they're doing some fancy shit, and I was like, I'm curious how they do that fancy shit. And if you all know code, they had straight up Terraform code in there. It didn't have all the secrets, but it had enough to where you could potentially do some damage with the information they have still in there. So if you don't know what Terraform is essentially a way to put your infrastructure in code. So that's things like your servers and like your hosting platforms and the way you build the software and stuff like that in CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous delivery, build systems, essentially. So all of that was in there. And while they didn't have the exact passwords, they had enough. They had basically the user ID. Like, and that's usually also something that you keep pretty hidden, because usually the way it works with stuff like AWS, which is a major hosting platform, is if you want to do any kind of changes behind the scenes, you need the user ID, which is a random string of alphanumeric characters, and it's usually pretty long, and you need the key. So, and finding both of those out, hard. Having one of those solved means brute force attacks are possible on them now, and that's bad. So I assume they're going to be rotating that and switching it up, but like that was just sitting in the code base, and I haven't gone that deep to look at what else is in there, but if people were malicious, they could do a lot with that information.
Yeah. And it sounded like this was not entirely like this wasn't meant to harm the like the users of Twitch. No. It was more in like I wasn't sure if it was because they weren't doing anything about hate raids and the follow bots and like, you know, all the stuff that is plaguing Twitch recently, or if it was because they are doing something and they're like, hey, stop it, like we can like mess with you. I can't remember what it was. I can't, like, basically it was saying, I think it was basically, this was like, Twitch, you're not doing enough, like we can mess with you, or, you know, like, hey, get your shit together, you're not as secure as you think. I don't even know, but it seemed like deliberate choice to not like actually leak, like put out passwords, you know, stuff like that.
Granted, they kind of did. It was all hashed passwords, which you can't do much with unless you know how to decrypt it. But that stuff was there, and it was, and I would say should be encouraged that people change their passwords.
Well, I've heard 100%. Multiple people say there's a very good chance that those passwords will get decrypted at some point. It's a matter of time.
It can be brute forced. For sure. It would take time, like you said. It's a matter of time, but it's entirely possible.
There's value in it because people use the same passwords for things. So it's something that will probably get brute forced, because then those passwords can be tested on a wide range of other services and, you know, then sold and stuff. So it's worth changing your password.
Especially if it's someone who had a Twitch account 5 years ago and, you know, doesn't use it that frequently. And
it doesn't mean you should panic and cancel all your credit cards today, but it does mean that you should change your Twitch password and any other passwords that are the same.
So it's this. Sorry, please go for it, Andre.
Oh yeah, so okay, I found the stuff, and when it was posted to 4chan. They said, yes. Let's see. They said this is part 1.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's what I downloaded. Did say part 1?
Yeah. Quote: Jeff Bezos paid $970 million for this. We're giving it away for free. Extremely poggers. And saying, let's see, okay. This is from Wired.com, summarizing. The 4chan poster also referenced Twitch's recent wave of hate raids in which bot makers have been spamming marginalized streamers, chats with bigoted harassment, mentioning the hashtag #DoBetterTwitch hashtag. Twitch do better, I think is what it's supposed to be, but whatever. But the poster claimed that Twitch is a disgusting cesspool. They wrote that the leak, which appears to contain huge amounts of proprietary data, is to foster more disruption and competition in the online video game streaming space.
Okay. So it was not malicious on the side of the hate raiders. It was actively against.
Yeah.
That's more
they
positive to me.
They deliberately kept out like personal information from this, is what it seems like. Even if like passwords and stuff were there, they did not include any like identifying information. That's beyond like how much top streamers made.
Which that was fascinating, and the discourse around it was also fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily in a great way, like. It seemed like people were starting to harass streamers about it, and of course, what's his name, Hassan? I don't know him. Like, I've never watched his stream, but people already like to harass him for that house he bought in California. But now people are like, "Oh, you're one of the top earners." Oh, blah 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 blah. But just overall, it was interesting to see the wide gamut between what regular, normal, relatively small streamers were getting, and like people who you think of as full-time streamers who maybe weren't making as much as you thought, at least directly from Twitch. Maybe donations, those probably don't get factored in.
Donations, sponsorships, Twitch, for like the top earners, Twitch is not their only revenue stream either, like if they're smart.
But for directly from Twitch, seeing that broad wide range, really fascinating.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And a lot of like some of it will probably, for certain things, I like saw some minor discourse around like Critical Role and like other actual play podcasts, and like there is a gap there between like what most podcasts make and what what actual play podcasts make and what Critical Role makes. It's just like astronomical. And then like what you should like be expecting from what you should be kind of expecting from those kinds of like businesses, I guess, like Critical Role, or even like the McElroys. This kind of came up with like
people
not,
who
like,
have staff.
You're not just you're not just like three brothers and their dad playing like Dungeons and Dragons. You're like, this is like a bigger, like a media property, and it's weird, and you can't just treat them as like, oh, they're just friends hanging out. Like there's an element of that, and that's like the chemistry makes it work, but it's more than just that.
And if people are interested in that aspect of the business, I would really recommend watching the Linus Tech Tips video about how we make money, I think is what they titled the video. And like that's really fascinating, because a lot of people who might casually watch those videos or similar videos are like, oh, it's just the personalities, but they dive into like all of the writing staff, all of the editing staff, all of the marketing staff. Like LMG, their company, is pretty large. I think it's like 40 people at this point. Like they're an internet company that bases a lot of their income off of things like YouTube revenue, which, it's different from Twitch in a lot of ways, but it's cut from the same cloth. And he gets into like, actually the biggest source of income they get is from LTT Store. Like they advertise it all the time, kind of as a joke. It's become a meme in that community. but it makes up like 60% of their actual income. So it's fascinating stuff.
I don't like to get
that's why you should head to my merch store and buy a Stay Wet t-shirt.
I don't like to cross work and podcast streams too much, so I'm not going to get into too much detail where I work, but I work in an environment that is very different than what LTT does. However, there are parallels, and I can say that seeing their sets and workshops and environments, they are a big operation that makes a lot of money. Not necessarily that I think Linus is like billionaire class. I think that they probably don't have a huge amount of profit. Hopefully it's healthy because I like them and I would like them to stick around. I'm talking about revenue though. I'm guessing that they have I'm sure they have very high overhead as well, but their revenue is pretty. I mean, I would kill to work. I wouldn't really kill, but I would love to work in an environment that is as like that looks as great as theirs, because I work someplace that makes a pretty decent amount of money, and like our resources are very different despite having some crossover and parallels in the kinds of business that we do. I was just talking to someone about this the other day at work about Linus Tech Tips specifically, and like, man, if I could have a studio like LTT does, that would fucking rule.
And that's the thing with a lot of these Twitch streamers, right? Is that's kind of what we're getting at, is that a lot of the big ones are these kinds of operations, maybe in microcosm, like they're not quite to LTT levels, but some of them, they're getting there.
Well, it's fewer people involved in the operation, so it means that they can operate. It's a smaller, seems like it has less scope, but same principles at play for sure.
Totally. But I think it's also
definitely depends.
Yeah, it's I think for a lot of people who are not necessarily content creators, more content consumers, hopefully this is kind of contextualizing that for those people.
I also think it shows how top heavy Twitch is. I mean, I think it's interesting because like YouTube has tons of problems, right? Like YouTube has enormous moderation problems. There's problems with Google. There's problems with data usage. Certainly am not making this a YouTube versus Twitch thing.
DMCAs,
to me,
etc.
To me though, in spite of all that, YouTube feels like a platform where you put content. Like it feels like I made this video and I'm looking for places to put it. I could put it on Vimeo. I could put it on YouTube. And so
God help you if you put it on Vimeo and it gets popular.
For sure. Someone like Linus Tech Tips, to me, Linus Tech Tips, they feel like they could go from, this doesn't really happen like it used to, but like I could see LTT going like, you know what? YouTube's great. We're also going to start doing a TV show or something, like they feel like a production house that makes videos. The difference to me for a Twitch stream, and this is where I kind of have pause at Twitch streaming in general, is it feels much more like Amazon has done a really good job of positioning big Twitch streamers as contractors who work for Amazon. And
well, they're literally partners, right?
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I know that there are some similar things with YouTube. YouTube has people that they have contracts with. Of course, that happens there. But the thing that's kind of freaks me out about Twitch a little bit is it absolutely feels like it's closer to like the WWE than a TV channel, whereas YouTube feels like a TV channel. And
that's
like, obviously there's huge problems with both of those business models, but I in this stuff coming out about Twitch was one thing, but even before that, when they were rolling out their boost system where you could pay to have your stream boosted.
That's bonkers.
I mean, I think generally most people agree that it's bad, but but even within that, I saw some like mid-level streamers who are on Twitter. And I'm not going to name any specific people. I couldn't even name any specific people if I wanted to, because these were all like showing up because people like their posts or their retweets. They're not really people I follow. Who are like, okay, so the boost system has problems, but here's how we're going to use it to increase our revenue and stuff. And these are people who are probably pulling in like a few $100s a month, maybe a paycheck's worth a month. And I just am like, you're being exploited so hard by Amazon and by Twitch. And I feel like it is so concerning to me because it's like you are now paying the company who has your content, has you on lock. You're also now going to pay them to advertise your stream to people. It's just like so bad, and it needs to be regulated so hard.
When there's there's very little organic discovery, like it's the priorities are completely out of whack. It's
discovery is the core issue, and like I don't think YouTube does it particularly well.
No.
But they do it better than Twitch. That's for damn sure.
None of this is because that's their entire business model, and then live streaming is being added on top of it. And
none of this is to say that YouTube is a better company morally than Twitch. That's not my intent.
Certainly not.
But it is a concerning thing, I think, with the culture of like, it seems like young people now want to do Twitch streaming. They want to be Twitch streamers. And I think if you're streaming as like a hobby, like the way you do it, Andre, is if it's just like a hobby that we're like, it's also fun to make some merch, and if you can make some extra money, cool. That's one thing. But I think this leak hopefully outlines. I don't really have anything against the people that are making tons of money. Some of them I think are assholes, but I'm not going to get into that. But you're never going to make the kind of money they make.
No,
you will not. And I mean, we can say that with 99.999999999% like confidence that given the number of people on Twitch, if you look at the disparity between the top 25 earners and then scroll down to the like 1,000th earner, it's like it's really shitty, I think, that they sell this notion that you can become partnered and like make a ton of money doing it, because clearly you cannot.
There's a mathematical concept, and you'll have to forgive me, I'll have to look up the name of it in the background, but the mathematical concept basically says, and this is true of language, this is true of statistics, it's true of a lot of things. Give me 1 second. It is Zipf's law, ZIPF, where in short, like there's a lot of reading you can do. This is actually like fun statisticky mathematics if you're into it, but it's basically boils down to the 80% of the important data, or 80% of what makes up the majority of your corpus. So like the majority of your significant data is taken up by 20% of, whatever is being measured. So if that's wealth, if that's like you're looking at 20% of the wealthiest people are making up 80% of the, the actual wealth makeup. And then the other, remaining 60 or 80%, whatever, like it doesn't matter as much. And getting into that top 20% is incredibly difficult in any case. I would recommend reading about this concept. There's a really good Vsauce video about this that explains it with regards to language and common words and stuff like that. But it applies very much here, and it's a real world example of exactly what Pat is illustrating, that to break over that wall at this point would be nigh impossible, because it's so saturated. And like as the number of users grow, which it's just, if you got in 10, 15 years ago, maybe you had a chance. But the chances right now are pretty slim.
And it's based...
Sorry, go for it.
No, you finish. I don't want to interrupt.
I was going to say this leak puts pretty objective data to kind of put that to proof.
And I think it's based so much on luck. Like,
absolutely.
There's a degree of who you know. Like if you're friends with Asmongold, you probably, and you're getting into streaming, you probably have a better chance. But also, and I'm not a major streamer, so I don't know. But if I was a major streamer and my income revolved around me having subscribers and getting views, I don't know. I think I personally wouldn't be in the situation to begin with, but I'm guessing that a lot of streamers are like, no, I don't want to make you into a huge streamer because that's my cake.
Yeah, yeah,
100%. Like, they
especially
don't wanna...
considering how narcissistic a lot of streamers come off anyway. Like, big ones.
it's their livelihood, right?
Yeah.
So they don't want people stepping on their toes as much.
I think the last thought that I have on it is also, I think this leak, like, it makes me so mad. The thing that made me so mad was, more than any of the business stuff, you know, what was this, 3 to 6 months ago, people, and for years, people were like having complete temper tantrums and meltdowns about how women were ruining Twitch by doing sexy streams and hot tub streams. And you look at this list, how many fucking women do you see in the top 25 of this list? And how many of these are white dudes playing Call of Duty? So fuck off if you think that somehow your weird little castle is being ruined by people who don't look like you. Clearly, Twitch's bias is towards white dudes playing Call of Duty. And that's how it's always been. And so any of this like panic about like the identity of Twitch or whatever is bullshit. And if you're someone who buys into that stuff, you need to get out of it because it's just toxic and you look like an asshole. And that was the thing that really made me mad.
One of the more toxic things I saw coming out of that particular conversation was this false dichotomy they put out, which was like, well, I guess Twitch ladies are not making up the majority. They can just go do porn. And it's like, well, go fuck off completely. If they want
to, I mean,
sure,
go for it
why not? Sex work is fine. Why are you like? Why has that become like some kind of like checkmate? Like it's the goalposts got moved just because actual data came out, and it's so stupid.
And that's what'll always happen because you're just sexist if you're into that stuff. You're just 100%. Racist if you're into that stuff. Like you're not
probably
trying to protect anything. I mean, I'm more
very
because,
likely because of the white dudes. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's not a lot of diversity in that list of top earners. In some ways, that's why I'm glad that Critical Role was represented high on that list, because at least that seems like it's a fairly diverse group of could be better, to be clear, but it's not just a white dude playing Call of Duty, you know?
Yeah, but they're good. And also those people are generally good, like Matthew Mercer.
They seem like
Laura Bailey and those crew, like they're good folks. So Anyways, Twitch.
Well, we got a whole lot more news to get through.
Dude, this is a thick episode.
We're gonna cut some of this down. We don't have to spend a lot of time, but speaking of massive internet giants having just shit go wrong, Facebook was down. It didn't work. Facebook and all associated properties, the WhatsApp, Messenger, Instagram, the doors at Facebook HQ, Oculus. It was all just not working for a while. It all happened while I was asleep, so I really missed out.
Yeah, missed on a really nice day.
Just no Facebook. That's amazing.
It was great. I was hoping it was gonna last longer, to be honest.
Yeah, that would have been what if the world could have healed. Dolphins would have returned to Venice. Mm-hmm. Deer roaming the streets.
It'd be like Tokyo Jungle.
Man, but I wish, because that means humanity's gone.
Yeah.
So not only did Twitch have a rough week, so did Facebook gaming.
Yeah.
Oh,
nobody could stream on there. Nobody could stream their gacha games.
You can't see the violin because it's too tiny.
Yeah, but also like the Oculus stuff was interesting. Jane Wong, who's pretty popular on Twitter for breaking Twitter. What's her thing? Wong M Jane on Twitter. The first thing she did upon this Facebook going down was she booted up an Oculus. And she posted screenshots just being like, yeah, this thing is basically a brick. Like it was really fascinating to see just how many things rely on Facebook's infrastructure working. And the moment it went down, it was the kind of thing where if you signed up for a friend uses a chess website every now and again to play chess, just, for fun. She signed up with her Facebook account. She could no longer log in to play chess. Like it's all these kinds of that. Yeah, all these kinds of things that you don't even think of as Facebook itself, just kind of reaching their tendrils out, and just everything was affected. Small businesses who don't have their own websites and just have a Facebook page, they were affected. And the thing is, within the past year, wasn't there a whole trial that basically proved that Facebook wasn't a monopoly? And didn't this kind of subvert that a little bit?
I'm not versed enough in monopolies, and it's definitely too much consolidation of just
power.
Everything is on Facebook servers using Facebook technology and interconnected, and then if that one thing goes down, it breaks so much. And so if anything, that itself is reason enough to diversify. Don't let all these things be locked into one company. Don't let Facebook buy another messaging company. Don't let them buy another social media company. But not we need social media and these messaging apps. There are other ways to talk to people, but it's all this consolidation is not good.
Yeah, I mean, what if Facebook owned TikTok, and also Facebook owned let's say some kind of medical imaging company, or
sure, yeah,
some form of
totally
public
reasonable
health. If public health relied on all of that public or that Facebook infrastructure, and that went down, that's actually terrible.
I mean, what if something like this happened to Amazon's shit? That would be catastrophic.
When EC2s went down,
but they, I assume, aren't arrogant enough to put all their keys. Put all their keys on Amazon Web Services, and then that goes down. They can't even open the damn door.
That was amazing. That was just hubris. That was friggin' Bay Area, Silicon Valley hubris right there.
Yeah. Well.
Anyways, we could talk about that one for an hour, but maybe let's not.
We don't need to. Another thing we can talk about for an hour.
A piece of news that did come out related to Oculus. There is an app called Oculess, which came out this week, or it became publicly kind of visible this week. I think it was developed by some 17-year-old kid, and which is awesome, good for him. But it removes the requirement to have a Facebook account to use an Oculus.
Nice.
So
good.
I'll make sure that is included in the show notes, because I think that's very useful. Probably. But it's,
and also, it'll just be an arms race of okay, now it works again, now it doesn't, now it works again.
It's possible that it's some form of jailbreak where you could also stop updating your Oculus if you wanted to and just use this. But
then you get to the point you can't use the store anymore.
That's what I was going to say is you certainly would not be able to purchase things from the store. This probably would let you use your current library until they patch it out, and then maybe let you continue using some kind of a link situation if there's also they develop it to have an open source way to link it to the PC. But it's cool either way that there's people doing it.
Yeah, and there's ways to de-Google your phone in similar ways. So anyways, just wanted to point that out because I think it's actually a really nice initiative, and it's a cool project by just a single young developer.
I wish he would Oculess. Shout out to Alex Navarro.
I'm interested in Oculus alternatives. I'll say that. We'll see. If any come out?
I know you're interested in this one, Pat. Yeah, there were the big Smash Brother news this week, where they announced the final character for Smash Brothers Ultimate. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
Anyway, final character. No more passes. No more season passes. No more DLC.
Goodbye, Sakurai.
He has to go now.
We exchange one
They're
Sora
putting him back in the box.
We exchange one Sora for another. Finally, after years, literal, like, I don't know, like 5+ years of people begging,
maybe more.
Sakura, do it. Yeah, I long time. Finally, Sora from Kingdom Hearts makes his way into Smash Brothers
and
shakes hands with Mario.
To be clear, only Sora. You're not getting shit else from Kingdom Hearts, yo.
And in fact, you're getting specifically like literal characters removed from art for this.
Yeah.
Which is not surprising. And also, I don't give a shit because I don't care about Smash. But if anything, this sucked because it was an opportunity for the legion of people who don't know a fucking thing about Kingdom Hearts to go, oh, you nerds, stupid, you like Kingdom Hearts, idiots, on Twitter for a day. That's that was my moment of like, I'm actually gonna gonna use Twitter less because turns out people here just suck ass. Because when the one time I tweeted about, which has been deleted, how I think Animal Crossing sucks, I got like was not kind responses that I received,
and many of them, wasn't it?
I like, I guess.
You're right though, Pat.
I know,
right.
Right.
It does suck.
This is a safe space to play or say. I don't think Animal Crossing is all that. It's fine.
No, I think it turned up in like a search result or something. And so I got some heat from it and I just deleted the tweet.
Oh man, that's the shit. I'm still waiting for my moment in the sun where some bullshit I say goes absolutely wild.
It wasn't viral. It was like 4 or 5 responses, and I was like, these people are not people that I follow, so I don't want. I'm just deleting this because it means that people found it somehow. But yeah, I don't know. I just like whatever. It's funny that they put Sora in Kingdom, or they put Sora in Kingdom Hearts. They put Sora in Smash finally.
Apparently, he was the most requested character when they did their who do you want to see in Smash back on the Wii U era. So
my favorite part of
by far
the memes of Sora murdering Waluigi.
Yeah. Poor Waluigi.
I actually think they should have put Waluigi in over Sora, frankly. Yeah. But whatever.
He should have showed up, and they should have been like, "You get 2. We're doing Sora, and finally, you get your boy Waluigi."
That would have been cool. Wow. But I think people would have been happy with that. But from what I understand, and again, we don't have to talk about this for long. We're already running long. Like, Square is a nightmare to work with in the first place, but specifically with Kingdom Hearts, it's supposed to be way worse because then you also got the long arm of Disney dick all up on you.
I'd be. I mean, Square has more reps in that game than any other third party now.
Yeah, I mean, like that's probably why they were able to leverage it, is because they have Cloud and Sephiroth and all that stuff in there. Like, they have those connections made, and it's like, okay, you've done well by our properties in the past, but
I was hearing, and I don't know, John Drake, come on the podcast, let's talk about it.
Yeah,
I heard a little bit of. I heard a little bit of scuttlebutt.
We got Diet Coke.
I drink Coke Zero Sugar. I've heard a little bit of stuff that suggests that Disney feels that Sora is a Disney character and not a Square character, and that is part of why this was so difficult, was because it's very hard to get Disney to sign off. Like, it's like a weird legal space where they don't technically hold the rights to Sora, but Square wants to preserve their relationship with them because it's such a huge franchise, and Disney's like, Sora's Disney.
Yep.
Cloud, Sephiroth, those are Square characters. Those are Final Fantasy characters. Sora is a Kingdom Hearts character, and Kingdom Hearts is a Disney franchise.
But
so
y'all know Yoshi P, right? From Final Fantasy 14, beloved director of that, pulled it from the depths of hell by the bootstraps. He has been on record as saying there's never going to be a Final Fantasy 14 Kingdom Hearts crossover event because it's such a nightmare. With licensing and all of that.
And
they're internal to Square.
It is funny.
I mean, what would that look like without bringing in like a
they've
ton
done
of Disney shit? So like,
yeah, but they've done Final Fantasy 15 and
the,
stuff. But
yeah, no, that makes sense because like,
yeah.
But what is a Kingdom Hearts crossover without the Disney stuff? It's a crossover with other Final Fantasy games, and so
at that point,
I think Sora and Kairi showing up in Final Fantasy 14 could be neat. Like they're not very precious with their crossovers. The Final Fantasy 15 crossover event is Noctis's car breaking down.
And put a gummy ship.
Sid's
put a gummy ship in Final Fantasy 14.
No,
Sid's like, wow, this is weird that this car is like super advanced. It's not Garlean. And Noctis is like, what do you mean? It's just a cool car. And then you like take Noctis on a little tour of Eorzea, and then you have to fight a boss fight, and then Noctis is like, oh, I got teleported here. Guess it's back to Final Fantasy 15. Driving my car through the portal. See ya.
It's so funny.
It's very stupid and very like,
yeah, like
they could put Star Wars
it's very
in
knowing.
Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah,
like
totally.
Obi-Wan could just be like, how'd I get here?
Yeah, like all of this to say, the fact that Sakurai was able to pull these strings in the first place and actually get it is kind of a huge accomplishment on their part, and it's a good swan song just in terms of like the business side of things. Of course, people are gonna be pissed. It's Kingdom Hearts.
As far as I know, as what I heard was like going around, Sakurai had no involvement in like selecting characters. That was all Nintendo, and then that was just it was there. Here is your next character. Here is your assignment. Finish this, and then maybe we'll unchain you from your desk.
You can go back to Kirby eventually.
Yeah, it was a good presentation, like where they revealed it, and him just taking out posters and sticking them to the wall, and he's a good presenter. But and then just let Sakurai do all their game presentations from now on.
I'm done. There's no more Smash. Like he actually looks. Yeah, that dude has been doing Smash since '98. Like.
Yeah.
And he doesn't like Smash that much.
And that's it. Sora's going to come out. You get a month, and then all the Smash cartridges and switches with Smash digitally are going to ignite, and no one will ever play Smash again.
Yep. As soon as you lose 3 stock, your game is done.
It'll be like that meme with the like society if, and that's what's going to happen after Smash is gone.
It'll be better.
Yes.
Significantly so.
All right. Next up. Well, we can kind of go through a bunch of these quickly. Toshihiro Nagoshi and Daisuke Sato are leaving Sega, which was previously rumored. Which one is going to? Are they both going to Tencent, or is just?
I don't know if it's been said. I don't know if that was clear.
Because one of them was rumored to be like being poached by Tencent, and like
that was Nagoshi for sure.
Okay, and then wasn't one of them just like? Wasn't it Nagoshi just like promoted recently to like creative director of Sega from like the Ryuga Gotoku studio? Like, so they were just like promoted, and then he's like, peace, I'm out.
He released Monkey Ball, and then
he probably got paid. Like if he's going to Tencent, which is what the report was, they probably gave him a compelling offer.
Yeah, I imagine 10-cent offers are very compelling if you're an in demand.
If you are essentially the president of a company and being poached. Yeah, I imagine so.
If 10-cent wanted to pay me a lot of money, I would quit my job.
So yeah, it's best of luck to them. Hopefully they can hopefully they're being brought on to Tencent or wherever they're going to make more cool shit, because they have overseen some really good stuff. Like, some of the best stories in video games are coming out of the RGG studio.
If they're like, I don't want to make real cool shit anymore, I just want to fuck off and
make mobile
design
gacha games.
The numbers behind gacha games. Good for you. Fine. Go for it.
Whatever.
Take your time.
But what
you do you?
What if I don't know, the Yakuza gacha game?
There has to be a gacha game in a Yakuza, right?
Not any that I've played, and most of them. I get like the newer 6, 7. I don't know when 5 came out, but it's like 6, 7. Then like Lost Judgment would be like a good fit for like that kind of time period, like for that kind of stuff. But I don't
for
think
actual
so.
gachapon.
Yeah. Or I don't know. So I mean, there's I'm thinking of Shenmue. There's just like UFO catchers and shit, and
Anyways,
and the arcades. But best of luck to him, and you know, I fully believe in RGG and Sega and what they're doing. Yep.
Yeah. Same.
It's this XCloud stuff. Whatever, they're using Series X hardware for Xbox Cloud streaming.
Yeah,
good. There you go. It's looking better than a regular Xbox One.
Next, maybe they'll stop running the lines through mud, so it doesn't feel like you're playing in like
lines.
Just, I don't know. I'm trying to say that I think XCloud still feels like shit to play, because it feels very muddy to me.
So it's putting the stream it's returning you is going through like a muddy poop filter.
Exactly.
It's mud and not pudding.
Yeah, my sticks are covered in sewage, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, well, that was the case beforehand. So
that's why your Switch has drift.
Mine doesn't. And that's why it doesn't.
There's a secret.
So that's the XCloud
Nintendo hates
sauce.
this. Nintendo hates him.
What do you think Randy Pitchford thinks about this?
Oh fuck no.
I think he.
I know what you're saying, but
I think he wants to turn this into a TV show. Is what he wants to do.
I think this is only.
He wants to turn Pat wading through puddles of shit into
a
TV show.
If he wants to pay me, I'll do it.
I'm labeling this news story on our timestamps. Randy Pitchford sucks. That's
he does suck. But look, I am not above throwing on some galoshes and like those rubber overalls and waders and like wading through sewage if it's like a TV paycheck. That's fine. I'll do it. Call me Randy.
Yeah.
Also,
so what's the story, Andre?
I don't like you. But,
Randy Pitchford is
leaking more
stepping back for. I mean, who knows?
Not a leak
what
if
he's
you're putting it on TV, like as part of your job.
So Randy Pitchford, president of Gearbox Software, is stepping back from his role as president of Gearbox Software.
Thank God.
And
he's gone.
Is moving up in the world to still a Gearbox, but Gearbox Studios. And he's going to be doing like TV and movies and like other media stuff. So it's he moved up in the world, but we'll probably see less of him in like game related things.
One can hope.
The huge narcissist is also interested in no longer making games and instead making more perceived more glamorous things like TV and movies. No fucking way.
Just like oh god, what's his name? Bobby Kotick when he appeared in Moneyball.
There are degrees to which there's a magnitude of difference between how much I dislike Randy Pitchford and how much I like Bobby Kotick, though. It's like Randy Pitchford's like an Urukai and Bobby Kotick is like Saruman levels of fuck that guy.
God, there's some it's throwing it back to the LOTR chat's nice.
Yeah. Anyway.
Well, yeah, so we'll see what that's about, and probably see less of Randy Pitchford doing magic tricks at PAX panels.
Yeah, I just think it means you're going to see him less and less, and that's that can only be a good thing.
Yep. What are they even working on? Are they doing some Battleborn TV show?
No, Borderlands movie. There's a Borderlands movie.
They should do a Battleborn TV show.
The Borderlands movie is big bucks. That movie's going to be a pretty huge movie, I think.
Probably.
It's got that cast fucking rips.
Yes, the casting is very good.
And isn't oh god, what's her name? Everyone's favorite
Kate
actress in the world. No, she was in True Lies.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
Yeah,
she's in it.
Oh yeah, she's in that too. Yeah, Kate Blanchett, Jamie Lee Curtis,
Jack Black,
Kevin Hart in it. Jack Black. Yep.
Is he playing Bowser?
Who? Jack Black?
I think he's Claptrap.
Yeah, Jack Black's Claptrap. which is really good casting.
Back to the sewage, Pat. Crap trap. I don't.
Crap
trap. Jack Black is claptrack. I can't say it. It's hard.
That's a really good tongue twister.
CL4PTR4P.
Claptrap is really irritating, but Jack Black will play that. That'll be good. I'll probably watch that movie.
I hope it's Jack Black in just like a cardboard costume and just him running around.
Oh my god! Yeah,
everything else is like CG and whatever, and then live action CG special effects, and then Jack Black as Claptrap is just him, Jack Black running around in a cardboard costume.
We have to end this podcast, but I at least hope that he did some mocap for it.
100%
with him climbing up on top of his house and dancing around, and
yeah,
Hopefully.
And that they use his mocap in arms or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The last one I think worth talking about. Eidos-Montreal and Eidos-Sherbrooke are switching to 4-day work weeks, which I think is kind of the first big AAA studio to make this shift. Young Horses got people talking a while ago when they were like, "Oh yeah, we switched to 4-day work weeks last year, and it's been great."
Yeah, as far as I know,
people talking. Other studios have experimented with stuff,
and outside of games, Microsoft, I think, tested it and went, "Oh crap! Oh shit! Oh no! This is a good idea. Let's make sure that we never ever do this because oh no! Oh god! It would improve the lives of our employees. Can't have that, can we?"
Yeah, they tried it for 6 months. Went, yeah, that's great. See y'all on Friday.
I mean, in America, there's no benefit to improving your employees' lives. More ownership of time means that you're more stuck in life and work being your identity and shit. So it's not going to happen in the United States anytime soon. But very happy for Eidos.
Interesting with they're owned by Square, right? So that Square kind of allowed this to happen. I don't know what the relationship there is, but Square being a Japanese company, that's kind of surprising.
If I had to guess, based on what I have heard about the way that Microsoft manages their subsidiaries, totally different company, but just from a business perspective, it's probably pretty you guys do whatever. You make the games that we tell that, the games have to come out and they have to make money. How you get there, it's not really Square's problem. Until it becomes a mess and things aren't coming out and stuff. If this goes bad, then I'm sure Square would be you going to be back in the office 5 days a week? But I'm sure they don't really care as long as the games are coming out. As long as Guardians of the Galaxy comes out.
That's Eidos, huh? And I think they're doing another Tomb Raider. I think there was something about that. Maybe, I don't know. I saw some.
That's what we know for sure.
Yeah, I saw some ridiculous story about, or not even, just tweet chain about Tomb Raider 4 has a ridiculous mod scene.
Tomb Raider 4 rules. That's probably my favorite Tomb Raider.
It's just absolutely bonkers mod scene. People making big set piece moments and whole Resident Evil style games in it. And
full conversions.
Yeah, it has a map maker. It has
a really robust map maker. I played with it a lot when I was younger. Spoilers for the end of Tomb Raider 4: The Last Revelation from 1998. So here's your spoiler warning.
Shit.
Lara Croft dies at the end, and I was like, "Oh my fucking god, are you kidding me?" And then, of course, she's not really dead, and she comes back later. But
of course not. Yeah,
she falls down a huge pit, and you're like, "Oh my god, she's dead." And then they were like, "Yeah, she's dead. No more Tomb Raider, dude." And then the next game they made was a anthology series of levels from across her life, because they're like, "Yeah, she's really dead. She's not coming back."
Wasn't it called Tomb Raider Anthology?
Chronicles.
Oh, Chronicles, right? Yeah.
Hilariously, I have not played either of the Crystal Dynamics Tomb Raider games. I was an enormous Tomb Raider fan when I was in middle and high school. I played every one of those games multiple times. But I haven't played the Crystal Dynamic ones. I even like Angel of Darkness, which was the one that killed the franchise because people hated it so much.
Just like the Slayer song.
Yeah.
Well, it's Angel of Death. Anyways.
Same diff.
It is about time for us to wrap up. It has gotten late. We started late. We talked a lot.
Yeah.
Always a pleasure, though.
Pixel cars.
Nice. Thank you so much for joining me on episode 193 of the Gaming Fix podcast on October 9th, 2021. I've been your host, Andre Cole, aka your partner's favorite cocktail, aka the Wet Gamer. Alex, yes?
No, keep going. I'll have something to say later.
Okay.
It's kind of all there is.
You could find me on Twitter at Coolsl, COOLSL4W, and on Twitch at /COLESL4W, where I'm streaming on Saturdays, American time. Sunday's my time, Saturday's y'all's time, and I'm going to be raising money with the Super GG radio folks for Extra Life, Children's Miracle Network, all that good stuff.
Good folks.
I still need to get all my registration in. I think I'm going to be doing it for hospital from my hometown, Sacred Heart Medical. Cool. I believe they're part of the. I think they're part of the Miracle Network. I got to double check. If they're not, I'll figure something out. But yeah, and we're doing a thing where if we get a team goal or team total of $5,000 donated, anyone who donated over $10 or $10 or more will be entered into a raffle for a Switch OLED. So get on that, and that is November 14th, I want to say, is the deadline, but I need to check.
I'll include their tweet about it.
Yes. Yeah, we can do that. And yeah, that's me. Pat, where can people find you?
You can find me browsing NASCAR diecasts.
Nice.
That are way too expensive, and also at PJC Plays on Twitter.
Shout out,
less, but whatever.
Shout out to you buying $100 diecast cars, giving me the courage to buy $200 leather-bound books.
You only live once. Look, Bubba Wallace is only going to win the last restrictor plate race of the current generation of NASCARs one time.
Hey,
so when he does, you got to get a diecast of that car.
These books are signed, and I'm going to try and get every single, as these books, every 10 years or 10-year anniversary of these books, he puts out a leather-bound version. I'm going to try and get a leather-bound version of this entire fucking series, and it's not going to be finished till fucking 2050 or some shit.
That sounds like a way worse fucking habit to get into than me trying to complete the Umineko manga, because that's also a nightmare right now.
Yeah. Well, where can people find you doing that, Alex?
On the internet. What I was thinking about, and was people couldn't see my fingers counting, we're on episode 193, but I think we're actually probably at about 200 episodes, including Game of the Years and specials, and maybe if we were to include Movie Fix, which we only did one episode of, and I think it was for Black Panther. We might actually be at 200, but whatever, we'll be at actual 200 soon.
I have 6 more episodes with which to sabotage this podcast.
But to make it just implode and then we never hit 200?
Yeah, so we all hate each other and we all quit and never hit 200 again.
All right.
Again, for the first time.
That isn't already the case. Let's start back over. God damn it. Now we all have to make a competing podcast, and we can see who.
All right, here we go. Game of the Year 2017. The actual winner was Edith
I don't
Finch.
like that.
You're the wet one.
Hey, wet doesn't mean piss.
It can.
It can.
It can. It doesn't mean it does.
Like the great Griffin McElroy once said, it's piss.
Well, let's.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks to Jeff Davis at Stranger Peace for our music, and we'll be back next week with another episode, unless everything implodes and we all hate each other.
Or the
just
world ends.
after we finally move to Discord. Move to Discord and everything falls apart. There you go.
That's life, baby. It's progress.
Stay wet, gamers.
Bye, everybody.
That was the most incredulous Stay Wet Gamers I've ever heard in my life. And I've heard a lot of Stay Wet Gamers, Andre.
You'll hear a lot more. If I have
anything to say about it. Okay, I'm pressing stop now. Goodbye.
There you go.
Showing us his sticker.